So the Zoom. Yeah, wait for them to get started. No. Okay. Don't worry. Good morning. Thank you for joining us for the June 20th, 2024 meeting of the Chicago Teachers Pension Fund Board of Trustees. For the record, I am President Jeffrey Blackwell, and this meeting is being held in person at our office at 425 South Financial Place. The quorum for this meeting is 7 trustees in person. CTPF has provided a remote access option for those who wish to attend virtually, and access instructions have been posted on our website. Please note the following. Trustees who wish to speak, please raise a hand and I will call on you in order. I've asked Vice President Price Ward to help me track the speakers. All participants, please wait to be recognized by the chair before speaking. I will ask for a motion and a second on an agenda item before any discussion on the merits. Please limit discussion from each trustee to 3 minutes unless the body consents to additional time. I'm going to request that a trustee not raise a hand to speak more than 2 times on any matter, except to raise a point previously not raised or to answer a question. Please make sure debate is germane to the motion pending. I will entertain a motion with due respect for the length of the debate to close or limit debate to a period certain. I'm going to ask board counsel to assist me by pointing out if any of the adopted standing rules of debate are not being followed. Please be respectful of each other and allow a frank and full discussion, but in an efficient manner. Our agenda calls for us to go into executive session. We will suspend our Zoom meeting and ask non-attendees to leave the room while we are in executive session. Please monitor the meeting online to determine when we are back in open session. For our staff and trustees to focus on the business of the meeting, we will not respond to messages from the public sent using the Zoom chat feature. If you have questions, please forward them to memberservices@ctpf.org. We will now move on to public participation. And our first speaker is Ronald. I don't want to butcher your last name. Bermudez, thank you. 3 minutes, yeah.
I'm sorry, couldn't hear your last name.
Bermudez.
Thank you.
Yeah, green sticker.
Good morning. My name is Ronald Bermudez. I'm a bellman at the Westin Bonaventure Hotel in Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles, and I'm a proud member of Unite Here Local 11. The past 2 years, I have worked as an organizer with the union, representing workers like myself all across Los Angeles. On June 30, 2023, union contracts covering more than 15,000 local 11 members expired at hotels in Southern California. Understanding what a large-scale, protracted labor dispute could mean for their business, the Westin Bonaventure was the first hotel to listen to the workers and settle a fair contract. I remember feeling so proud that my hotel had been the first to give the workers what they deserve. I remember celebrating the cafeteria with them, giving the first cent, so Si Se Puede being the first contract that was signed in all of a union hotel. This year, I have fought with my brothers and sisters to win a historical contract at 61 hotels that will lift us out of poverty with wage increases of $10 per hour through 2028. Our members have struck over 170 separate times in the largest strike in the history of the U.S. hotel industry. Through the strikes, I have learned the power of workers when they stand united. But I've also been shocked that many of the hotels that have failed to settle fair contracts after nearly 1 year are financed by public pensions like the Chicago Teacher Pension Fund. We must no longer allow the hospitality industry to pit public sector workers like Chicago teachers against private sector workers like myself and like Fatima behind me. We must no longer allow the hospitality industry to pit. This is why I have testified at CalPERS board meeting and recruited dozens of workers to testify at pension funds across countries, urging them to hold firms accountable for labor abuses. And it is why I'm here today. We have spoken before your fund in the past about the Hotel Figueroa in downtown Los Angeles, owned by BGO. You have heard that the workers at the Hotel Figueroa have endured hardship after hardship and are still fighting for their same contract that my hotel, the Westin Bonaventure, signed nearly a year ago. They have been shot by BB guns and were forced to wear protective gear on the picket lines. Hundreds of food and beverage workers were fired by the hotel after notifying the company that they wanted to join the union. And yet to this day, they have remained fearless and continue to strike, picket, and boycott their hotel. Several months ago, we provided suggested language for letters CTPF could send to BGO, urging them to resolve the labor dispute at the Hotel Figueroa and to return the 100 fired workers to their job and compensate them for their lost time. We ask that you send this letter to BGO as soon as possible with any changes you see fit to make, and we ask that you withhold further investment from BGO until they resolve the dispute and ensure further hospitality investment and protect from labor dispute. This is not just the right thing to do, it is the right thing to do to protect your investments. Thank you.
You called me, right?
Yes.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Fatima Jimenez. For the past 2 years, I've worked as a phone operator at the Hotel Figueroa in downtown LA. I'm a proud union member with Unite Here Local 11. As the youngest daughter of 4 from a single mother, I've learned very early on the importance of hard work. My mother immigrated to this country from Mexico and worked hard to become a US citizen. I was the first child of 4, the youngest, from high school, to graduate from high school, where I was a co-captain of the soccer team and mentored kids in a program to keep them out of gangs. I went on to junior college and began bouncing around various jobs in customer service. When I applied for this job at Hotel Figueroa, I had to do 4 separate interviews, one of them lasting 3 hours. The job was a good opportunity with good pay at the time, but very quickly the cost of living in Los Angeles started going up. On top of that, I had to get a car to get to work and moved out on my own. This obviously provided opportunities for me. Because the hotel was short-staffed, I started doing double shifts. I found myself working 16-hour shifts, so it was very exhausting. Over a year ago, my coworkers and I began organizing for a new union contract. I knew I needed more financial security and I deserved to be making more money for the amount of work I do. My job requires me to wear multiple hats and get training in multiple areas of the hotel. Not just anyone can do this job. With rent and bills going up, I knew that the hotel should be paying us more. I went on strike with my coworkers because I deserve more and so do they. Our hotel makes so much money because of all the hard work. Sorry, I lost myself. Because of all the hard work of us workers, we maintain the highest level of service and we deserve to be compensated fairly. I was on the picket line with my coworkers when we were shot by metal ball bearings. The union got us helmets and I put them on. I knew I could get hurt, but I did not want to stop the picket line. The Spanish News interviewed me and I'm not afraid to speak up for myself and my friends. It's been over a year and the Hotel Figueroa has still not agreed to a fair contract. Almost all the other hotels have signed the same contract, but the Hotel Figueroa won't. It's disheartening and disappointing. Why are they holding off? What are they gaining? My coworkers and I picket before and after work on our 10-minute breaks. We've done all kinds of protests and sit-ins. I see the emails and take the phone calls from guests and customers who are concerned to see workers protesting. The hotel is now losing money and tarnishing its reputation because of these strikes. They're losing loyal guests and customers of the restaurant. It's ridiculous that the owners have not agreed to our demands. I love my job and the work I do. I'm a professional who deserves to be treated with respect. I've come here today across the country to ask you to urge the owner of my hotel to give us the contract we deserve. Please support me and my coworkers and urge BGO to settle the labor dispute at the Hotel Figueroa. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. One-on-one. Okay.
On Zoom, Ms. Tina Padilla.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Morning, Tina. Yes.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Board of Trustees. Hold on, I'm sorry. I'm going to start my clock. Okay. Good morning, Board of Trustees, and all the other fiduciaries present here today. My name is Tina Padilla. I represent the Pension Advocacy Group. I'm here today to request that the trustees seek more clarity before voting on the recommendations listed on the agenda. We are here to ensure that members are given information that is accurate and complete. B6 on today's voting agenda, the FY 2025 budget, members have not been informed of the content of the budget or whether it is financially viable given our current funding ratio of 47%. Letters C and D provide no PDF files for the public. When I served as the chair of the CTPF Investment Committee, CTPF was looking for a minority-owned infrastructure manager. The only manager presented to the investment committee was JLC. When we were given no choice, I knew there was a gap. And if not repaired, we will be in terrible trouble. On June 7th, 2024, Pension Law and Administrative Rule Committee, the trustees were only presented with two choices out of thousands of lobbyists that our attorney said were contacted. Trustee Rodriguez asked that a scoring rubric and if the board could see a third candidate. This information is not on board docs. Lastly, I would like to inquire about the formation of the communications committee for the board. In order to restore and protect this defined benefit for current and future teachers, it is imperative for members to have increased access to educational content and opportunities to engage and collaborate with our trustees. Our trustees are making decisions that will not only affect themselves or you personally, but also infinitely many others if we remain vigilant and demand that this defined benefit be protected in perpetuity. Thank you all for listening to my plea. Have a great meeting.
Thank you, Jane. No, okay. That's it, Sharina? Okay, we'll go on a roll call.
I can ask a question to the executive director. Good point. Did we receive the rubric? It's in there, Mayor. Thank you.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Mm.
Trustee Barajas,
Present.
trustee Beza,
Present.
trustee Blackwell,
Present.
trustee Nelson. What?
Present.
Trustee Price Ward,
Present.
trustee Riley,
Present.
trustee Rodriguez,
Present.
trustee Vincent,
Present.
trustee Washington,
Present.
and trustee Woods.
So we do have a quorum as required by the Open Meetings Act. So now we must vote to approve remote attendance and full participation. The Open Meetings Act allows for remote participation by a trustee if a quorum is physically present, which it is, and a member cannot physically attend due to the personal illness or disability, employment, public body business, family or other emergencies, or unexpected childcare obligations. Trustee Woods would be participating remotely this morning. Trustee Woods, please confirm that you are attending due to one of the exceptions previously listed.
Yes, I confirm that I am not in attendance in person and that exception falls within the rules. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now entertain a motion and a second from a trustee who is participating in person to allow our remote trustee to fully participate in the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
A motion is made by trustee Washington, seconded by trustee Riley. And call the question.
Trustee Barajas,
Yes.
trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Yes.
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward,
Yes.
trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
Abstain.
trustee Vincent,
Yes.
trustee Washington.
Yes.
That's 9 ayes, 1 abstention.
Thank you, Shereen. We'll move to item 4, approval of today's timed agenda and fixed time for adjournment. I'd like to entertain a motion for today's timed agenda and fixed time for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by trustee Washington, seconded by trustee Price Ward. And call the question.
Trustee Barajas, trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Yes.
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward,
Yes.
trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
trustee Vincent,
Yes.
trustee Washington,
Yes.
and trustee Woods.
Yes.
Thank you, 11 ayes.
Thank you. Item 5, trustee recognition. Our next order of business is trustee recognition. It is my pleasure to present CTPF's Distinguished Service Award to former principal administrative trustee Jerry Travalos. Trustee Travalos is a CPS graduate and a fierce advocate for public education. And for more than 30 years, he has pursued his passion for education, sharing his belief in the unlimited potential of students. He has served in many capacities as a teacher, assistant principal, and network deputy chief. Trustee Travalos has focused his career on creating professional learning communities, building teacher capacity, data-driven instruction, collaboration, differentiation, family engagement, specialty programming, social-emotional learning, and equity. In 2015, he was selected as a principal fellow and participated in a rigorous professional development program provided by Northwestern Center for Nonprofit Management at Kellogg. In 2016, he was chosen to be an independent school principal and granted autonomy to manage his school. Twice, he has received the prestigious Principal Achievement Award. Dr. Travalos served as principal administrative trustee for more than a decade, joining the Board of Trustees in July 2012, and was most recently reelected in 2022. He has served on several committees, including elections, personnel, claims and service, finance and audit, return to work, technology, and has chaired the Disability Committee. We are all grateful for his dedicated service, thoughtful leadership, and guidance throughout his distinguished tenure. We will miss him greatly and wish him the best. It is now my honor to present you with this plaque on behalf of the Board of Trustees. Is he online?
Yeah, there he is.
Hey, Jerry. I never looked up, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate the honor. If I may, just 1 minute, I want to say thank you, Jeff, to you. It's been a pleasure serving with you and all the hard work that you have put in for the meetings and behind the scenes. To Carlton, thank you for being a wonderful executive director and really leading the organization. And to the trustees, I know how hard the work that you do is, and people really don't appreciate it until it's time to start retiring and they think about all the hard work and the advocacy that takes place. You know, and during my tenure for CTPF, it was always about doing right by our members, whether they're retirees or active members or future members. And I will say, I feel that although I stepped away just because the commitment and the work on the CPS side really became busy, I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure. And I've learned a lot, and I know how important CTPF is. And I encourage you to be fierce advocates for our members and our retirees, to continue to do right by them, to continue to work as a collaborative body. And if I can ever be any assistance in the future, don't hesitate to reach out. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's been a wonderful journey and a pleasure, and I wish you all the best.
Jerry, your award, I didn't read it, because I stopped to see if you were there. We're not gonna mail it to you. We're gonna make you come visit us and pick it up.
That's the deal. I am so sorry. I'm at a conference, so I couldn't kind of work it out, but I agree. I need to come in and pick it up and say like a final hello and handshake.
Okay, so it reads, Distinguished Service Award presented to Dr. Jerry Travalos in recognition of his outstanding service and dedication as trustee of the Public Schools Teachers Pension and Retirement Fund of Chicago, 2012 to 2024. I'll stand up so you can see it.
Love it.
Yay.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
And again, don't look for it in the mail. You gotta come pick it up.
I will be there at the next
Right there.
meeting. Sounds good? All the best, everyone. I appreciate it. Thank you and all, and good luck.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Take care.
Jerry.
you. And it takes us to sixth vote agenda. We should have made him stick around for the meeting. Vote agenda 6A, approval of minutes of the regular board meeting on May 16th, 2024. I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting for May 16th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by trustee Riley, seconded by trustee Ochoa.
I have a question, if now that we have the motion, right? On page 2, where we approve trustee remote attendance, I believe the responses they look different from what we heard at the meeting, but if we can check that, because I believe in, everyone gave a reason under which statutory reason they were not attending in person. And on here, it's typed in, I believe, incorrectly. Executive Director Lenore,
I'll review that.
thank you.
Call the question.
Trustee Barajas,
Yes.
trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Yes.
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward,
Yes.
trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
No.
trustee Vincent,
Yes.
trustee Washington,
Yes.
and trustee Woods.
Yes.
Thank you. 10 ayes, 1 nay.
Thank you. 6B, approval of Finance and Audit Committee recommendation to award a contract for auditing service for employer pension contributions to McNeil Accounting and Consulting.
So moved.
Second.
No, I'm sorry. Was that order? No, you're right. Okay.
Skip one.
So why don't we?
So let's take the vote on this and come back to it.
I'm sorry, motion made by trustee Washington and
No,
second.
I did.
It was made by.
Oh, I'm sorry.
As chair of the committee, I thought I should.
I'm sorry.
Was that for B or C? I'm sorry. Letter B or
Who was
C
the
on the
second?
agenda? B.
I was.
Okay, the motion was made by trustee Riley, seconded by trustee Washington. I'm sorry, Maria, what were you saying?
No, no,
You
I
made
was,
it, didn't you? No,
It was B.
Oh,
It was-
okay,
Jeff, Victor seconded it.
I'm sorry, because we had an issue, something was out of order.
Okay.
No, he was right after me, so.
I'm sorry. Call the question.
for the budget? B for the budget.
No, we're gonna come back to that because on board
Okay,
docs,
yeah,
it was
'cause
out of
B is
order.
the
That's what we were
budget,
talking
that's what I'm
about.
saying.
Yeah, so we
Okay.
gotta come back. We already made the motion and seconded it, so we'll come back.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, for some reason, it's out of order in board docs.
What happened to it?
Clearly, the motion was made by trustee Riley, seconded by trustee Ochoa. Okay.
Okay, so this is McNeil, right? The McNeil?
Yes.
Okay. Motion was made by trustee Riley, seconded by trustee Ochoa.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Barajas,
Yes.
Trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Yes.
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward,
Yes.
trustee Riley,
yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
trustee Vincent,
Yes.
trustee Washington,
Yes.
and trustee Woods.
Yes.
Thank you. 11 ayes.
Thank you. Okay, now we have to go back. We had a typo. So now I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of Finance and Audit Committee recommendations to approve the FY 2025 budget.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Riley, seconded by trustee Ochoa. And was it, Elise, did you want to speak to it?
Good morning, trustees. You have before you the FY 2025 draft budget as was approved for forwarding to the board for full approval from the May 21st, 2024 Finance and Audit Committee meeting. The projected FY 2025 budget for administration and investment expenses totals 83.3 million, a 4% increase over the FY 2024 budget of 80.1 million. And that's in keeping with inflation. Inflation averaged 4.1% during 2023.
Thank you, Elise. Questions? No questions? Okay, thank you, Elise.
Just, yes, on the, I was looking at something, budgets for conferences. What page is that on, please?
Would you like the information on the detail of?
On what you just presented, this, our budget.
Mhm.
My question on that is, I believe they're all added together. It's a culmination of staff and trustee, or did you change it this year? And I don't recall. So it's just a friendly question.
Yes, it's a combination of all trustee as well as staff.
May I ask why it's done that way? Because sometimes it appears when members, and I get calls and I get emails all the time, it's a larger sum if it's everybody together. And they're asking, well, why are trustees spending all this? And from what I recall in the past, I said, now they started combining everything as one. And I'm just, because there's a budget for just trustees, and now it's all together conferences.
So each department has their own budget, and that detail is in the document in your packet in the administrative FY 2025 administrative budget. So you would be able to see the amounts for each department as well as the trustees in that.
Right, but do we have a breakdown when it says specific? Okay, that's why I asked for
Yes,
the
it's
page number. I'm
specific.
trying to eliminate that.
Yes.
Page number
43.
43, thank you. Give me 1 second. But is there,
It's
but
just-
still,
it's all
is there a
the-
reason
I'm
why it's
confused.
originally all put together? That's my question.
Yes, in our financial reporting system, all conference and training expenditures are categorized as one line item.
And what has been the increase, or specifically be able to, because you work on the budget from last year, or even actually, from last year to this year, what you're proposed, but it would be the year before, and then what you have proposed for this year.
One moment, I'm looking.
Thank you.
I'm not, what did you ask again?
What?
What were you asking again?
Oh, what the difference was, actual dollar amount that was spent. Because I've been
Not in the
asking,
report.
and the attorney, chief legal officer's not here. I was promised a couple months ago, so I wouldn't have to ask, now. He said he'd give me the report, and then he never did. He said he changed his mind.
Instead of me holding you up, because I have to flip through a number of reports, I will
can't
get
hear you.
back. I will get back
I'm
and
having
send
for
an
you, Elise.
email to trustees with all of the information that you're
Okay, well, I
requesting.
just need the information so I know how to vote, so.
Elise,
Elise, yes, sir.
it's in the board notes, and the budget to date, trustee Rodriguez, we're at 70.1 million of the 80.1 million as of June 7th. We have not got final expenses for the month of June, but they'll roll in by the middle of July.
And it's just for conferences.
No, that's for everything.
For what?
That's for all expenses.
Okay, yeah, that's not what I was looking at. That's not what I had.
We'll get you the information, Maria.
We'll get you the information.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Thank you, Elise. You can call the question.
Trustee Barajas,
Yes.
trustee Beza. Trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Abstain.
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward,
Yes.
trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
No.
trustee Vincent,
Yes.
trustee Washington,
Yes.
trustee Woods. Trustee Woods,
She's muted. You're muted, Tanya.
okay.
She's unmuted now.
So that's, oh, you want me to wait?
Yeah, call her again. She unmuted.
Trustee Woods, your vote? Trustee Woods?
Yeah, she's there. She unmuted. We just saw the mute go. Okay.
So that's 8 ayes, 1 abstention, and 1 nay.
Thank you, trustee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Elise. That takes us to C. Approval of pension laws and administrative rules committee recommendation to contract award to legislative consultant. I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, this is chair.
That's you the chair. I was waiting for you to
Proceed.
do it. I'm sorry.
So moved.
And
All right,
trustee
reverse
Riley
that.
seconded. Motion is made by trustee Washington, seconded by trustee Riley. Where's Dan's not here today?
Becky's gonna speak to it.
Okay. Morning, Becky.
Good morning, trustees. Just providing a little information here on behalf of Dan. So as you know, back in March, we approved, or you approved, the publication of the RFP for a legislative liaison services provider. We reached out to over 100 lobbyists registered in Illinois, and we got 6 proposals, which were from qualified candidates. From there, a staff committee that included our executive director, members of legal and communications, went through the proposals, scored them, and ended up hearing oral presentations from 5 of those respondents. And from there, we brought 2 to the Pension Law and Rules Committee under Chair Washington. And the committee had recommended that we go with Michael Best Strategies for our lobbyist for a term of 2 years with the option to renew. So we were just asking for a vote to approve the committee's recommendation.
Thank you, Becky. Call the question.
Yeah, you already called.
I already said call the question.
No problem.
Trustee Barajas,
Yes.
trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Abstain.
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward,
Yes.
trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
No, I believe we should be independent from any other organization.
trustee Vincent,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
and trustee Woods.
Abstain.
That's 8 ayes, 2 abstentions, and 1 nay.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
Dan just joined, he didn't want to add. All right, just making sure. That takes us to 6D, approval of Acilian Kite Works annual renewal. I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of Acilian Kite Works annual renewal. That's technology is. Victor? I said Victor.
I'm sorry.
Motion was made by trustee Ochoa, seconded by trustee Price Ward. Morning, Dan.
I'm here because the next 3 board action requests were all submitted by me, so I can answer any questions anyone has about them.
Okay, none about the first one, so we'll call the question.
Trustee Barajas? Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Trustee Beza?
Yes.
Trustee Blackwell?
Yes.
Trustee Nelson?
I abstain, and I'd like to briefly say that there has not been enough information lately to actually make an informed decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Ochoa?
Yes.
Trustee Price Ward?
Yes.
Trustee Riley?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
I agree with trustee Nelson, no.
Your vote is no?
Correct.
Okay. Trustee Vincent?
Yes.
Trustee Washington?
Yes.
And Trustee Woods?
Abstain.
That's 8 ayes, 2 abstentions, and 1 nay.
Okay. That takes us to E, approval of purchase of laptop computers. I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of purchasing of laptop computers. Victor? You make the motion?
So moved.
Second? Somebody? Okay. Motion is made by trustee Ochoa, seconded by trustee Riley. You have a question?
Yes, question exactly, and just so it's public, I did ask executive director, how many laptops, Victor, are being ordered?
It's approximately,
Huh? I'm sorry, I'd asked Victor. Oh,
I think Dan can answer better than me, but
Good
I
question.
think I remember from the pre-board, it was 95.
95?
no, it's closer to 150 laptops.
Okay,
Thanks-
so I
thanks for
put
the correction.
95, 150, and 130 this morning. This is so who's accurate? That's all I'm asking.
And
It's
it's accurate, and that's why we had the pre-board, so we could ask questions about this previously, but you also have another opportunity. You directed the question to me, but I deferred to Dan.
And I understand it, but I heard something different from the executive director. And as far as pre-boards, all this information should be public information. The public doesn't know what we discuss in pre-board. They probably don't even know we have pre-board meetings.
Right? That's,
So it was a friendly question and not directly engaged. I just want to make sure, because when I vote, my voting record will be questioned. And I want to say, this is why I voted whichever way I did. That's my fiduciary responsibility.
Okay, thank you,
And we're
Maria.
saying, yeah, no
Excuse me,
more.
excuse me.
Okay.
Paula?
But that cost should not exceed what you listed here, correct?
I'm sorry, what is the question?
The cost should not exceed what's listed in this document. Is that correct?
I can't. hear-
Yes, that was a rounded up number to the nearest $1,000.
Right. So the cost should not exceed that.
That is correct.
Okay.
Call the question. Oh, I'm sorry, Tammy. No, Tammy had a question.
Yeah,
then we'll call the question.
just clarifying, so the and just, so we're upgrading, but the others will still be put to use
That is correct.
internally. I
Yes.
was just wondering, like, so sometimes with upgrades, I know the vendors may offer buyback programs. Do we weigh the financial options of keeping them or buying them back?
We are not doing a buyback. We will continue using the laptops that we currently have. And we're switching for most personnel to a 2-to-1 model where the new laptop will be kept at home. The laptop they're currently using will remain in the office for the advantages described in the action request.
I agree. Yeah, because I think the fact that we went into a lockdown with little or no notice being is like prepared.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you.
Call the question.
Okay, I did have my hand up.
Okay, call the
Trustee
question.
Barajas,
Yes.
Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
No.
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward,
Yes.
trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
No, and staff only comes in 2 days a week.
trustee Vincent,
Yes.
Washington, and trustee Woods.
Yes.
Thank you. That's 9 ayes and 2 nays.
Thank you, Shereen. Thanks, Dan.
There's one more.
Oh, you got one more. You're on the hot seat today.
He
That's
hasn't
your
get
pick
out-
for a long
he hasn't got
time.
away yet.
That is F, approval for boardroom audio visual equipment refresh.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by trustee Choa and seconded by trustee Washington. Could you just explain briefly what it's about so people know?
Oh, yes, so this is to replace and upgrade much of the boardroom audio and visual equipment that was first installed 5 years ago in 2019. We'll be making, so since then, there have been a request for a number of improvements, especially with the audio quality in certain parts of the room. So some of the components that are getting to be old will be changed out. We'll be installing some redundant equipment to eliminate single points of failure with the audio video equipment. So it amounts to a major facelift or a major upgrade of the audio video equipment installed here in the boardroom. Go ahead, Carl.
And Dan, can you talk about how soon we can expect to see the upgrades in the room?
Yes, and this is actually an FY25 budgeted expense, and the reason I submitted the board action request at this time is because we want to take advantage of there not being a board meeting in July. So we'd like to schedule, the upgrade work is, because it's extensive, it will take at least a week to complete the work, and then it will take another week of testing. So we have this great opportunity to schedule the upgrade work for next month, and that's why that's why I submitted the action request at this time.
Go ahead, Lois.
This is a meeting involving budget and a lot of expenses. And I'm really concerned because I've been going through a lot of paperwork and we are not funded at the point that we should just be spending willy-nilly on anything and everything. And I have a real concern. And so that is a reflection in my votes today. Thank you.
Necessary upgrades.
This is for the right.
Okay. Maria?
Yeah, so will this new equipment, how long will it serve us? Because like you said, some of the equipment that we currently have is outdated.
Yeah.
Can't get So what will be different about this new equipment? Or-
So the equipment is expected to be in service for I would say another 5 to 6 year period.
Do we know for sure? Do we know for sure? What does the vendor tell us?
I mean, that's a reasonable expectation. We renew maintenance and support warranties on all the equipment every year. The challenge with the equipment after it gets to be about 6 years old is availability of replacement parts. It just becomes harder to repair equipment that lacks available parts, which could cause an extended interruption in service. That's why we like to do an equipment refresh on roughly a 6 year cycle.
So do they give us something
Excuse
in
me, Maria.
May? Or it's
Excuse
just
me, Maria.
our-
Excuse me, Quinn.
So, good morning.
I don't-
So just so that we're clear, this is an upgrade to what we currently have. So like the trustees that sit on that side of the room that struggle to hear, that situation would be alleviated through this upgrade of audio and, well, the visual isn't the issue as far as that goes, but that should alleviate that issue, right?
Yeah, that's one of the deliverables in the scope of work, yes.
Okay, and also the microphones, because I know sometimes we have issues with microphones depending on where people are sitting. Some microphones don't project as well as others. Some of us don't project as well as others, and so that becomes an audio issue as well, but that would be rectified during this process as well, correct?
Yeah, those are enhancements.
Mhm.
I would say that the main point of doing the work is keeping the equipment running.
Right.
That's the most fundamental thing about the project work, because after 5-6 years, we need to have assurance that we can keep the audio video equipment running month after month reliably and keep it under warranty.
And one more, this stuff is already 5 years old, correct? Yeah,
Yes.
5-year-old equipment. So this sounds like a reasonable expense, considering that this is not something we're spending every year to do, but as a part of an organization, we have to keep our hardwares and softwares upgraded in a manner that makes it functional for us to use appropriately in board meetings or whatever it is that we're doing. We need equipment that works, because when it doesn't work, all of us are frustrated.
Thank you, Quinn. Jackie was next.
I recall, I think it was in our May meeting when we lost all control. So, and you're saying this is the 5th year that we have, that we are using this equipment.
Yeah.
So this equipment, had failures where we had to continue with the meeting and there was no recording, no audio. And so I feel like this is a dire need, but it happened in the 5th year. So is that so this new equipment that we receive, will we be monitoring whether, so that we don't experience a failure and have to, just, shoot from the hip? So I think that if it's 6 years, then we need to be cognizant of the fact that if it's not 6 years, we need to be looking at this equipment prior to that 6th year. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yes, so because I know we had a total shutdown and we had to go just basically without a recording, without, even some microphones. So thank you.
Lois.
Thank you. My question is this: do you know exactly how many years we've been here in this building? Because before we moved here, all of that equipment should have been upgraded prior to moving in. And on the flip side of that, something should be maintenance insured as to repairs. Now, and as I said a few minutes ago, Pension Gold had to be totally replaced with millions and millions and millions. And now it's called Titus. The name changed, but the idea and the replacement has not changed. So something should be under some type of maintenance. So can you tell me how long that equipment has been in use? Prior to our moving here, we haven't been here long.
Yeah, so the equipment installed in the room and also in the IDF room behind us, where most of the audio video controller equipment is installed, has been here since November of 2019.
Okay, that's not long to say that when we came in, everything was supposed to be upgraded and working properly. So there has to be some type of maintenance insurance within the process of 5 years.
Yes, we maintain the equipment under a maintenance and service agreement.
So that should pay for something, correct?
It does. So when the equipment breaks or needs some level of fine tuning, it's handled through placing a service call with the vendor.
All right. So you're answering partially what I'm asking, but I'm not getting the right answers. As a fiduciary, we have to really be careful about how the money is just spent. Thank you.
You made
I'll
your two
be
co-
brief.
You made your two comments already.
Several others did too.
you made-
Okay, all
thank
right,
you.
it's on record.
Let me
Thank
ask you, Dan, okay. Now with technology, and Richard, anyone else, you can guesstimate like how much or how long you think the technologies will last, but there's no guarantee on how much it will last because certain things like software changes, program updates, and I guess like what Lois is asking with the insurance, certain things that, like if you buy an item and you open it and you use it already, would that void out any type of insurance, like with speakers and computers? So those things may not be covered under insurance. So we may have to replace them because like if I buy an iPad and I take it out and I use it, and I put software on it, I can't take it back to Best Buy. So I might void like some of my warranty. Yeah, so certain things like that, like what the upgrades that we're doing are items that will be open and used already. So they may not be covered under insurance, correct?
I agree with that. I'll also add that audio video equipment falls into its own category.
That's what I was.
Replacing the equipment, most of it is very special purpose, non-commodity equipment. In other words, it's not available at a local Best Buy,
Right.
or you can't order it through a CDW, for example. It's got to be supported through these separate channels.
Okay.
And the challenge becomes, after 5-6 years, the challenge becomes finding parts for this equipment. When stuff breaks, it might be out of commission for months at a time because the supply chain for audio video equipment is not quite as robust as it would be, let's say, for computer equipment.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So to that end, my assumption would be that there was some sort of.
Yeah.
So if there is a service agreement, I'm assuming, barring the fact that it's gonna be a month period to wait for, a part to come in, which I'm experiencing now with my washer, so it sucks. But that analysis to whether, continuing the agreement on the current equipment or upgrading so that there's less likelihood having a month-long part replacement wait.
Yeah. The risk analysis includes evaluating how much the risk is reduced by installing new equipment versus trying to maintain the old equipment. And because of the oftentimes the lack of availability of replacement parts for specialized equipment, the risk becomes greatly reduced by installing replacement equipment, new equipment.
Thank you.
Jeff.
Victor.
Oh, you had your hand up too.
Yeah, I was just gonna move the question.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Mine wasn't that important.
Okay, we'll call the question. Thank you, Dan.
Trustee Barajas,
Yes.
trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
No at this time.
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward,
Yes.
trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
No, and the issue is in RFP, competitive fees.
trustee Vincent,
Yes.
trustee Washington,
Yes.
and trustee Woods.
Yes.
Thank you. 9 ayes, 2 nays.
Thank you, Shereen. Okay, that takes us to H, approval of JLC Infrastructure Fund 2 follow-on allocation. I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of JLC Infrastructure Fund 2 follow-on allocation.
So moved.
Motion's made by trustee Price Ward, seconded by trustee Vincent. Good morning.
Good morning, trustees. So the next 4 items are actually investment-related items. This first one is a new item. The other 3 are items from the investment committee from May. Just a little bit of background. We are seeking approval for a $10 million follow-on allocation to JLC Infrastructure Fund 2 for the fiscal year 24. If you recall, fiscal year 24, you approved anywhere between $10 to $30 million investment within infrastructure. And then a little bit later on, we're going to request final approval for fiscal year 25 for $10 to $30 million, depending on what opportunities present themselves next year. So this is one that we've been looking at, and Callan finally wrapped up their due diligence, and I've asked them to come in and present their findings and recommendations. So.
Randall. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to see you again. And I'd like to start by introducing Johnny Gould. He is a consultant with our real assets team at Callan. Johnny has been with us for a total of about approximately 14 years, and for the better part of a decade has actually covered infrastructure as an infrastructure specialist on our team. So as Fernando mentioned, we're bringing forward to you JLC Infrastructure Fund 2 and the points that I was going to make about the pacing and the portfolio Fernando already mentioned. So I'll turn it over to Johnny to walk through our further points.
Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Good morning.
All right, good to be here. As was mentioned, we're here to look at JLC Fund 2 as a re-up for CTPF. As a reminder, JLC is a New York-based minority-owned private infrastructure manager. They make private infrastructure investments in North America across various infrastructure sectors, really in the US, and with a particular focus on public-private partnerships, particularly in the transportation space. They successfully raised and allocated their first fund in the series. And so that has been fully allocated, and they're now in the market with their second fund, a follow-on fund to pursue the same strategy. And so we're looking at a potential re-up commitment to that to continue investing in the fund series. And again, this is to maintain vintage year diversification and investing with partners with whom the plan has had success. So I am on page 4 now, 5 of our JLC presentation. Does everybody have that in front of them? Okay. We conducted our due diligence and gone through the process that we normally do. And so just to look at Fund 2, it's really a continuation of the same strategy that was pursued in Fund 1. So nothing has changed from a strategy standpoint. They're targeting $750 million in commitments, and they're pursuing the same return target as they did in Fund 1. We can look at how Fund 1 was allocated on the right side, again, all in the US, and that's really their focus. They have the potential to do stuff in Canada to a certain degree, but really it's a US strategy. And again, diversified by sector with a heavy emphasis on the PPP space, which is really transportation, a lot of emphasis on airports. And so that is really the consistent approach that they'll take for Fund 2. Fund 2 has identified 3 investments so far, and that has followed the same strategy and really themes that they pursued in Fund 1. So very consistent there and expected to continue as they continue investing in Fund 2. Page 6, the terms is something we also really look closely at from fund to fund as to identify anything that's potentially changed. And really very, very consistent with Fund 1, so no changes there. In fact, there's 2 small changes, both to the benefit of LPs. One is that the GP is going to commit 1.5% of the total commitments up to 15 million. In Fund 1, that was 1% up to 5 million. So there's greater alignment there from the managers who are investing this fund. And then the other is on a governance term, just the ability to remove the general partner should it come to that. It's a lower threshold than it was in Fund 1, so a little bit more governance rights for the LPs. But everything else very consistent there in terms of the term, the waterfall structure, the fees, and all that. Everything stayed the same, and the key persons as well. So I'll wrap it up on the next slide, just in terms of our conclusions. We think this is an appropriate re-up commitment for the CTPF portfolio. They've established a track record. They successfully raised and invested their first fund. It's had good performance to date. It's running at 11.5 net IRR and a 1.21 multiple of invested capital. And again, this is to maintain vintage year diversification and to continue with the strategy and alignment with a partner that the plan has had success with. And importantly, they've continued to access deal flow. And in the private infrastructure space, deal flow is very important, and access to investments is really a key driver of performance. And so they've really leveraged their relationships in the public sector to really find these opportunities, particularly in the airport space, and drive investment performance there. So they've really borne out that thesis in their first fund and continue to do so in their second fund. And so I'll wrap it up there, and happy to take any questions.
When did Callan begin with the, there would be that they were doing due diligence on this particular fund? When did that begin?
We began, I believe, it was either the end of the third quarter, or the beginning of the fourth quarter of last year, when they were coming to market.
But can you give me a date? I guess I'll direct it toward Fernando.
I don't have the specific date, Trustee Rodriguez, but
A month and a year.
a month and a year. I would say November of 2023.
Okay, and so nothing prior to that? Because if you're doing due diligence, wouldn't there be a quiet period?
No, only when we are running an RFP and there are multiple respondents do we require a quiet period. If it's an open bid, but this is a re-up opportunity. So we've already been invested in them prior to.
Right, I
Fund
understand
one.
that. Yeah, but if they were coming up and they were going to, they wanted more money, or they were going to continue with them, my concern is I just want to make sure there's no conflict of interest, or if there was not an RFP that, an event or anything we were invited to.
Yeah, no.
Prior to that, to
Yes.
talk business prior to.
I don't believe we've had any events with JLC infrastructure. This is, in fact, the only time I think, so if you recall, we brought them in for the April 5th, first Friday to present to the board, representatives of the.
Was this last year, this year?
This year.
I know there was something last year, if you recall.
So I think you're referring to Loop Capital. Loop Capital is the holding company.
Right.
And these individuals are separate from that. And then even though they have ownership, 50% ownership through Loop Capital Enterprises, is that right, Bernie? Yeah, right.
Mhm.
But if I recall, I don't think any representatives from that fund were present at that event.
Thank you, Fernando. Were there any more questions? Go ahead, Tammy.
So this is a 10 million, well, I'm sorry, the recommendation is a $10 million investment into Fund 2.
Fund 2.
All right, and what I noticed is that there's a recommendation for a likely increase of 30 million later on. Why not?
Oh, no, so fiscal year 24, we identified or we budgeted for anywhere between, technically it's really 0 to 30. But if we were to invest, it's a minimum of 10 all the way up to 30. So depending on the opportunity, if there were no opportunities, it would be 0. But and if there were 2 or 3, could go up to 30. And it's sized appropriately to the size of the fund. We definitely don't want to be more than 10% of any one given fund. So I think this 10 million is sized appropriately for Fund 2. Just to note also, not that it will make a big bearing on your decision, but the Illinois Treasurer's Office is also investing in Fund 2. I think what I'm hearing is about 40 million. So they have investments in Illinois. It's a transportation hub to improve the entry and exit of, I think, trains into Illinois that will help commerce and the free flow of business into Illinois, in Chicago. So, and then again, sorry to just to finalize, fiscal year 25 is another anywhere between 0 to 30. depending on what opportunities present themselves.
Thank you. Call the question. Thank you all.
Trustee Barajas,
Yes.
trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Yes.
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward,
Yes.
trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
No.
trustee Benson,
Yes.
trustee Washington,
Yes.
and trustee Woods.
Yes.
Thank you. That's 10 ayes, 1 nay.
Thank you. That takes us to I, approval of investment committee recommendation of international equity structure. I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of investment committee recommendation of international equity structure.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by trustee Price Ward and seconded by trustee Washington.
So just real quick, this was the combination of the international equity search where we had presentations from 3 different sub-asset classes of managers over a series of meetings. We had polls and straw polls to narrow down to a select group of managers. Then at the May investment committee, we brought in options of the structure, how much for core, value, and growth, and the committee recommended to the board structure option 1A. So we're asking for approval on that.
No question. Call the question.
Trustee Barajas,
Yes.
trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Yes.
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward,
Yes.
trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
No.
trustee Benson,
Yes.
trustee Washington,
Yes.
and trustee Woods. Trustee Woods. Thank you. That's 8 ayes and 1 nay.
Thank you.
Right.
And so you're missing one, no?
2, 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
6, 7, 8, 9. I'm sorry, 9 ayes and 1 nay.
Okay, that takes us to, thank you, Vanetta. Takes us to J, approval of investment committee recommendation of FY 25 real asset strategic plan and pacing. I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of investment committee recommendation of FY 25 real asset strategic plan and pacing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by trustee Price Ward, seconded by trustee Washington.
So please recall again at the investment committee in May, Callan came in to present a performance review through year end 23 of the real estate and infrastructure portfolios and presented their pacing plan. So for fiscal year 25 real estate, they recommend up to 60 million for re-ups and potential searches. And part of that also is search for new core and core plus managers as we start to receive distributions from some of the managers that we've submitted requests for distributions to, namely JP Morgan, SPF, and UBS Trumbull. And with regard to infrastructure, again, fiscal year 25, the request or the recommendation is a $10 to $30 million pacing plan if we find relevant opportunities. So I'm asking for approval on those 3 items.
Go ahead, Tim.
So we just talked infrastructure. So would that be tied to this?
Yes.
Okay.
Call the question.
Trustee Beza, I'm sorry, trustee Barajas,
Yes.
trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Yes.
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward,
Yes.
trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
No.
trustee Benson,
Yes.
trustee Washington,
Yes.
and trustee Woods. Trustee Woods. So that's 9 ayes and 1 nay.
I'm sorry, what was the count again? Okay. Okay, thank you. That takes us to K. Thank you, Fernando. Approval of investment committee recommendation of Mesero Co-Invest Fund 9 follow-on allocation. I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of investment committee recommendation of Mesero Co-Invest Fund 9 follow-on allocation.
So moved.
Second.
A motion was made by trustee Price Ward, seconded by trustee Washington.
So our final request today is the approval to invest 20 million as a follow-on investment with Mesero Co-Invest Fund 9. If you recall, we brought in members of their team to present and answer questions. It's a fund that and fund family that has done pretty well for Chicago teachers. And I believe there were some questions that trustee Barajas posed. I sent that on, so just to see if you have any other follow-on questions. Okay. So with that, we're asking for that approval.
Call the question.
Trustee Barajas,
Yes.
trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Yes.
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward.
Yes.
Trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
No.
trustee Vincent,
Yes.
trustee Washington,
Yes.
and trustee Woods. That's
Did she drop out? Yeah,
9 ayes and 1 nay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fernando. That takes us to L, approval of disposition of 2023 election materials. I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of disposition of 2023 election materials.
Second.
Motion was made by trustee Vincent and seconded by trustee Washington.
Good morning.
Morning, Gail.
Good morning.
So we are asking for a disposition of the election materials of 2023 election. They've been preserved for at least 6 months, and they are not of any use in any court proceedings. And so we want authorization to have our election agent, our previous election agent, dispose of them.
Call the question.
Trustee Barajas,
Yes.
trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Yes.
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward,
Yes.
trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
trustee Vincent,
Yes.
trustee Washington,
Yes.
and trustee Woods. 10 ayes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then M, approval of trustee training hours.
Yes, we're asking for the board to approve the trustee training hours as presented with the updates included in the spreadsheet.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of trustee training hours.
So move.
Let me get, motions made by trustee Washington. I didn't catch the second.
I think it was.
Clarification.
Was it? I know, I'm just gonna get the motion in the second up.
Who seconded?
Okay, thank you, Paula.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The hours, are you referring to page 252 or 253? I just
don't
need
know.
clarification as to where I am.
Sharina, do you see page numbers here?
Or, say what now? This one on conference request. Oh, this is a conference request.
Yeah, this is the report on the trustee training and education for
Why?
It looks like.
calendar year
this.
22.
No. What I'm saying is that it's different. And I keep saying this every meeting, is that I'm looking at the training hours for 2024, which is 0. And that's correct. That's what's on here, right? On the, you know, that's showing for everyone. No, no, no. Okay, but when I'm looking at, which you'll discuss afterwards, the conference request list, I have 2 requests for 2024. And I say every time that it's wrong according to what is reality. The reality for the training hours are 0 for me for 2024. I did not go anywhere beyond 2023. And then for 2024, I have 1 conference that I just finished. So what I'm saying is, I say it every time, and I guess the members who are listening to me don't understand what I'm talking about, but I'm looking at black and white, what is, you know, what is actually reported. And I'm told that trustee hours go from fiscal year that ends June 30th, whereas according to the statute, trustee hours go from January 1st until December 31st. So there's a discrepancy. So I'm looking at conference request list, which you will discuss afterwards, as to 2, which is not correct, but I know that it's not you who is doing this. It is our director who has decided to change things other than what is presented in our statute. And I never say anything behind a person's back. So I'm saying this in front of your face, correct? So thank you.
I was about to ask Carolyn.
And Carolyn, I don't know what you want to say, but please don't get into this one.
I was about to call on you, Carolyn.
No, and you know, trustee Nelson, completely understand, because I also wanted to understand it more clearly too. And correct me if I'm wrong, Gail, but I think we got direction from the Department of Insurance on this issue, and that's why we have the difference between calendar year and fiscal year and how we track these issues. But I think we're stuck. I think we're stuck following what the regulator has told us on how we track this information.
You said Department of Insurance. Are
Yeah.
we apprised of this Department of Insurance that is directing us other than the statute of Illinois?
Right, the Department of Insurance collects the data and regulates all the public pension systems in the
Okay,
state of
so
Illinois.
what I'm saying is the Department of Insurance check with the statute of Illinois.
And
Because we're going according to the statute of Illinois.
And you know, what's interesting, the statute talks about year, but doesn't clarify calendar or fiscal. So the Department of
It
Insurance.
does. No, no, no. Carolyn, please, check it again. Thank you. And I
will.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Mary Sharon?
Isn't the reason that we track on fiscal is the fact that our budget is fiscal? And so we can only spend a certain amount within the fiscal. So it doesn't matter about the calendar.
That was changed.
No, it
trustee.
can't be
Mary Sharon has
changed.
the
Our
floor,
budget is our budget.
No, the budget fiscal was changed according to the, what I'm talking about is trustees only. So if you're going
Victor
to
next,
add-
Lois.
No, 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 can
No.
we discuss
But
one
she,
back
no,
and
Mary
forth?
Sharon had the floor. And then Victor, then Maria.
But she
then-
referred to
She-
something I had
But she was
said.
making a
me.
statement too. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank
Carolyn,
you. So we'll go
Carolyn, let
on.
me-
I'm finished.
You don't
with
have
it.
the floor.
Mary
I
Sharon
do.
has the floor, Lois.
Carolyn, answer the question. Don't we
Could you
have to?
repeat the question to her? Because it got muffled in the back and forth.
My question has to do with the fact that we have to track it on fiscal because it's our budget as a fiscal.
That's right. And you know, some of my fire and police funds have also had the same confusion because they're under the same training statute that you are. It's found in Article 1 of the pension code.
So how are we supposed to do it? It has to be fiscal because that's where the money comes from.
Right, so we'll track the paying for it on fiscal, but when we report it to Department of Insurance, they want to see calendar year.
Right.
And remember, you know, pension funds throughout the state of Illinois are on different fiscal years, which also adds to the confusion as well. Some
Yeah.
are on fiscal April 30th, some are December 31st, you are June 30th.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still, it has to be both, really.
Victor?
I want to call a question.
Okay. Thank you.
Trustee
Thank you,
Barras.
Gail. I'm sorry.
Cut us off from asking a question.
He was next and he asked to call the question.
Okay. No, I didn't know if he knew what he was doing or not, so I'd ask.
Trustee Barajas.
Yes.
Trustee Beza.
Can't even
Yes.
get into anything.
Trustee Blackwell.
Yes.
Trustee Nelson.
No,
Trustee Ochoa.
Yes.
Trustee Price Ward.
Yes.
Trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
No, there's discrepancies in credits earned for the same conferences. Thank you.
trustee Benson, trustee Washington,
Yes.
and trustee Woods.
Thank you, Gil. Thank you,
Thank
Carolyn,
you.
for clarity.
Eight,
On you.
8 ayes, 2 nays.
Okay.
Excuse me, Sharina, what was the count?
8 and 2.
Okay, thank you.
I think Tanya left.
Right.
Yeah, Tanya's out. Yeah, she had to leave at a certain time. Okay, that takes us to 7 items to move to the omnibus. 7A, report on committee on claims and service credits. Can we move that to the omnibus?
Yes.
Thank you. B, report on committee and investments. Can we move that to the omnibus?
Yes.
Thank you. C, report on committee on finance. Can it be moved to the omnibus?
Yes.
Thank you. And D, report of the financial secretary. Can it be moved to the omnibus?
Yes.
Yeah, I had
Thank
my hand up.
Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve accept the omnibus.
Second.
Motion was made by trustee Price Ford,
Question now. Attorney,
seconded by trustee Riley. You can call the question.
see, you missed it. All right.
Trustee Barajas,
Yes.
trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Abstain?
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward,
Yes.
trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
No for all 3. Please follow Robert's Rules of Order. Attorney, can you please?
You don't have the floor, Maria.
trustee Vincent,
I had the vote.
You don't have the floor.
trustee Vincent,
Yes.
trustee Washington.
Yes.
Thank you. 8 ayes, 1 abstention, and 1 no.
Thank you. That takes us to 8, report of the president. Are there any trustee conferences that need approval? None? Oh, okay, none.
No.
Well, so the ones that are virtual, we just need to let you know, because I did see I know there's a Callan, I think that's virtual. No, it may be in Chicago, something October 23rd.
Yeah, if you could let us know, and we'll have someone on my team will reach out to you and assist you with coordinating it. If it's local, it should not be an additional conference considered for that. So
Okay.
as long, I don't know what conference or what time, what month it is. So we're still in this fiscal year, so depending on where you are.
Tammy, I'll have to ask you about it. I'd like to know about what it is.
Okay.
She can have the floor, bud.
So just reach out to us and let us know, and we'll assist you with coordinating that.
Okay. You had a question regarding the conference?
Yes, yeah. Ms. Davis, are some of the conferences in the city, are they free or there's always a cost?
Depends on the conference. There is not always a cost to attend, but it could be a nominal cost at times.
Yeah, if you can reach out to me when you have time and let me know if there's some that there's a nominal fee or no fee at all for the city.
Okay, if we can take a look at some that we are
I'd
more
appreciate
familiar with, and others just come in. As they come in, we provide the information to the trustees. If there's something that you see that you're interested in and that we may not know about, just bring it to our attention, and we could do the same.
Okay, thank you.
Mary Chair?
Yeah, two things. Isn't there a $250 limit that if we go to a local one,
Yeah,
above
that is
250
correct. That is correct.
less than 250 doesn't
Yes.
count?
Yes, for registration. So if it exceeds the $250 registration, then that would be considered one of your 3 conferences, and would require, well, no, if you were over or at 3, it would require board approval. But if not, it's just one that you can reach out to us and we can get it coordinated for you.
Thank you.
Either way.
Isn't it not true that some of us as individuals hear about conferences and other ones the staff hears about?
That is true.
So we should
Sometimes
both inform each other of
Yeah,
them.
if you see a conference, we can certainly add it to the list, which has been done before. I know trustee Riley, you have presented some things to us and we
Well,
do
for,
put it on the
for
list.
example, there's one next week that's put on by Adams Street. And it's an afternoon conference. And we're all free to attend. It's at the Peninsula Hotel in the afternoon. And it's a private equity conference.
Sure. And if any trustee wishes to attend, we're more than happy to assist in coordinating that on your behalf.
Thank you. Tuesday. Yes, Fernando, he has the information.
Just to say, I am interested in NCTR conference, July 21st.
Can you speak into the mic for us, please?
Excuse me.
Sure.
The NCTR conference, July 21st through the 24th. Well, I could come back for the October, but I am interested in that and I need to check the calendar for everything. I just want to make it public.
Okay, for the NCTR.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
No, the annual one is in October, right? It's a trustee workshop.
Yeah.
And we'll have someone follow up with you to
Excuse me.
assist with coordinate that.
Excuse me, trustee Price Ward. Where's that one located? Where is that one located? Where is the NCTR?
It's on July 21st to the 24th, but I.
And where?
It's been brought to my attention there is a conflict, so. We can only.
Okay.
Yes, that's the annual, and that one definitely, I would be going to it, but I'm on several.
The annual conference.
Yeah, the annual conference, yes.
Well, if we don't have any conferences for board approval, I just ask that if there's a conference you wish to attend that doesn't require board approval, just definitely reach out to my team and we will assist in getting that coordinated for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Okay, that takes us to 9, report on committee and technology. Victor? Okay, it's coming up.
For technology, Richard is going to come up and talk about the project with Titus and some things that need to happen.
That since my mic was on, Richard Anderson is going to come up with his team and they're going to talk about some things that need to get completed so we can keep Titus going.
Thank you.
Good morning, President Blackwell. Good morning, trustees. You've heard us talk before about how strong the CTPF teams have been on Project Titus. They come prepared, they come ready, and they lean in. We also have very strong vendor partners that support the team and have been with us since the start of this project. 2 of those vendors, ProValiant and Icon, are up for contract renewals. So I'd like to take you through a brief presentation, talk about how the renewals will look, and then we'll proceed to the 2 board action requests. Okay. Slide 2, please. So as we said, we have 2 very strong vendor partners that we work with. ProValiant started with CTPF back in June of 2020 to provide pension consulting services, project management and oversight, and independent verification and validation. They were instrumental in helping the teams craft the initial commitments / requirements, almost 2,000 of those that we created virtually from scratch and were used for the RFP. They also help us manage the employer outreach project. ICON signed with CTPF in April of 2021 to provide data profiling, cleansing, conversion migration, integration, and administrative services to support the project. They have been key in helping us with our data cleansing efforts. Those efforts were really not getting traction before this. They came in, got us going, have been a huge factor in our data cleansing efforts. Next slide, please. Just some key dates to review. We signed ProValiant in June of 2020. We started the project Titus in August of 2020. We signed with ICON in April of 2021. We signed our first PAS vendor in April of 22, and that was suspended in September of that year. And then we signed with TELUS Health in July of 2023. Next slide, please. And so this is the detail of both extensions. We have aligned both extensions with the new fiscal year. So for ProValiant, the term would be effective July of 2024 through April of 2027, with a value of $1,582,589. ICON has the same term starting July 2024 through April of 27, with a value of $832,277. Next slide, please. We just wanted to call out that with both vendor and both values of 2.4 million, the impact of the project reset is really about 2/3 of that cost. And that's a real conservative estimate. So we thought the board would be interested in that as well. Next slide, please. We want to also point out that there's no change to the overall budget. The value for ProValiant and the value for ICON, the total is the 2.4 million. We are going to target that value into our contingency bucket, which the current value is at 5.6 million. Once we apply the 2.4 of the two vendors, our remaining contingency will be the 3.2 million. Okay. Next slide. In this, we wanted to cover really contingency in general. As we said, after we apply the two values to our contingency budget, we'll be left with 3.2 million. We also have a support bucket, which right now is 10.8 million, which we have barely touched. So our total contingency right now is about $14 million. Okay. So with that, we can go to the first board action request for ProValiant.
So Richard, if I don't mind. So I hope you see, we got to keep Titus going, but because of the problem we had with a vendor, which had to go away, we are hoping to recoup some costs that we're in a battle with them that may allow us to not even have to use this money from the current budget. Even though we have a buffer there, it'd be nice if we don't have touches, but that's in court and we'll see where that goes. These two extensions, we're going to do them one at a time. We stay within budget, no matter how the court case goes. So this is something that is built into the budget. We're not going over. It's something we need to move on. And I appreciate all the board members' consideration in approving this, hopefully, so we can keep Titus going.
So for the board action request for Prevalient, Project Titus is recommending extending the contract from July of 2024 to April of 2027 at a value of $1,582,589.
So I would like to have a motion.
Can I have a question first? Before we start the motion, or after the motion?
After the.
Okay. Mhm.
Okay, so
Thank you.
move.
Second.
So that is Ochoa and Mary Sharon. Moved and second. Okay, entertaining questions.
Lois, did you want?
Thank you. Mhm. So I just want complete clarification, and I commend you, Anderson, for all of your and the whole team's hard work. I really do. But I just, need clarification so that we're on the same page. So the initial was what, $45,758,532 for the whole project. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so what you're saying, if I'm not wrong, is that to extend these contracts to April of 2027 would not incur any more than what we have in the budget now. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, just wanted clarification. Oh, thank you. Mhm.
Are there any other questions?
Tammy? Oh, I thought you had a question. No?
If you look at me, I'm afraid you'll call the question.
Call the question.
Call the question.
Thank you.
No, I was talking about Victor, not you.
Trustee Barajas,
Yes.
trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Yes?
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward, she stepped away, trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
Not at this time, not personal, Richard.
no. Trustee Vincent,
Yes.
trustee Washington,
Yes.
eight ayes, one nay.
Okay, and if we can proceed to the second board action request for Icon. The Project Titus team recommends extending the contract from July of 2024 to April of 2027 at a value of $832,277.
So moved.
Motion was made by trustee Ochoa, second by trustee Washington. Call the question.
Trustee Barajas,
Yes.
trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Yes?
trustee Ochoa, trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
No?
trustee Vincent,
Yes.
trustee Washington.
Yes.
Eight ayes, one nay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Okay, that takes us to 10, report on Committee on Investments. She stepped away to the washroom, so we're gonna have the approval of the watch list, first quarter total fund performance with Callan and Fernando. Morning.
Morning, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. I'm in the twilight zone here. It's one or the other, as usual. Great to see you, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening. We will go through the executive summary today. I'm going to try to keep today's discussion at 50,000 feet. I'd like to address the elephant in the room first, get that out of the way, and then get through performance, if that's acceptable. The fund seems to be underperforming, right? Everybody's looking at the numbers, and
Yes.
what I can tell you, don't be concerned. If I had 30 seconds to tell you what's going on, I would tell you that the reason why it appears that the fund is underperforming is because of private equity valuations. That's it. I can just leave now and leave you with that. And I'm going to demonstrate that to you. Okay. So what is the benchmark we use for private equity? Is the Russell 3000 index, and you add a premium of 200 basis points to that. Good luck trying to match that return in this market. Okay. Now, if we look at the attribution analysis over the last 12 months, the fund is below the target index by 1.45%. Okay. 91% of that is attributable to private equity valuations. It accounted for 1.33% of the 1.45. So don't be alarmed. The fund is doing fine. And the managers that are underperforming, some of them will be addressed through structure, and we are closely monitoring all of them. Any questions? Okay, let's go through the executive summary. We'll start on page 5 as usual. And here, as usual, you see essentially market returns for various market segments summarized for the most recent quarter, as depicted on the left side of this exhibit, and the trailing 12-month period, if you look at the right side of the exhibit. So just to point to some of these numbers, if you look at the S&P 500 for the most recent quarter, it shows you a return is that green, dark green column of 10.6%. If you fast forward and you look at the year-to-date return for the S&P 500 through the 18th of this month, 15.8%. So those numbers have continued to march north. The same is true for some of the other numbers, not all of them. For example, if you look at the international equity, the IFA, so that yellowish column showing you a return of 5.8% through March 31st. On a year-to-date basis, about the same, 5.5. With emerging markets, which is not displayed here, doing actually better than developed markets. That's different. Over the last few years, developed markets have done better. Emerging markets now are doing better than developed in the tune of about 1%. So 6.7% for emerging markets year to date through the 18th, so 2 days ago, versus 5.5% of international equities. Now let's take a look at, actually, I'll just point to one number on the trailing 12-month. Look at that, at the tallest column. 39% return, Russell 1000 Growth Index. I can tell you with confidence, do not get used to that number. It is not sustainable. It can't be sustainable. That has been driven by a few technology names denoted as the Magnificent Seven, whatever you want to call them. Gravity is strong and it's there. It will pull those numbers back down at some point. We don't know when. You know, we may continue to see this for some time, but I can tell you that that number is not sustainable over the long term, which is what we care about, right? And I would say that the markets have been a bit irrational. I would say over the short term, due to a number of factors. One, the prospects of artificial intelligence, the prospects of lower yields going forward if inflation indeed continues to come down, and the inflation picture looks a little bit better today than it did a year ago or 2 months ago. And lower yields actually translate into stronger expected earnings for technology stocks in particular. So we don't know. We might see continued strength in that sector, but overall, this high-flying market you've seen cannot continue to fly like this forever. So the fact that the fund is diversified into broad asset classes and sub-asset classes within each of those classes is a good thing. Diversification continues to play a very important role here. Moving forward to page 8, please. So page 8 shows the actual asset allocation of the fund versus target objectives. The target that you see here is the legacy target prior to the new target that has been officially adopted in your investment policy at this point, reflecting the reduction in international equities, the introduction of private credit, the addition or more assets going into fixed income. When you compare it to that, to the new asset allocation, you're actually pretty much in line across the board, except for international equity and fixed income. And those components of the portfolio will be rebalanced as we go through structure and the search work. And all of those things are ongoing for fixed income, international equities, private credit at this point. And we'll continue to report back to the board with progress in that regard. The fund had $12.5 billion in assets at the end of March 31st. Very happy to report that. That represents almost $500 million, $500 million in earnings, given the run-up we've had in the stock market. Again, I say that with a grain of salt. It's exciting, but it's not, because it's not sustainable, at least based on what we've seen in the markets. But the fact that the fund can capture that opportunity, right, through your exposures, your passive exposures in the Russell 1000, that's great. You're not spending a lot of money to maintain that exposure. It's a passive exposure, and yet you capture that beta opportunity, which we think makes a lot of sense because that area of the market is very efficient. Moving on to performance on page 12. Again, I don't focus too much on the last quarter, but if you look at the results, starting with the last year and over longer periods measured, the fund is doing okay. The fund is doing well. And what we care about is the long-term time periods. So over the last 5 and 10 years, you're above both the index and the peer group median by a comfortable margin. Over the last 3 years, you're above the policy index and you ranked slightly below the median. If you look at the differential between your actual return and the median return, it's not too far. It's about 35 basis points or so. Over the trailing 1-year period, 11.90% return versus 1334 of the index. We've already addressed that. Private equity valuations. As these things continue to balance going forward, you'll see less noise in that regard, and you'll see the fund's long-term performance continue to capture those opportunities. On a net of fees basis, the numbers look similar on the following page. I'm not going to walk you through them, but maybe I'll stop here and see if you have any questions or comments. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. We got to do what?
Oh, I'm sorry. I did
Right,
miss one piece, an important piece. So 2 funds need to go on watch on the basis of the watch process that we have in place. That includes WAMCO and Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley, due to performance issues, given the process we have in place, they've actually ranked above 0.7 for 2 consecutive quarters. So therefore, they go on watch to be consistent with the process employed by the fund. And WAMCO, due to personnel changes, there was a personnel departure, a gentleman by the name of John Bellows, who was an influential member of the committee they have in place to deal with strategic matters at the portfolio level. He was also in charge of the generalist portfolio managers that actually implement the parameters and the strategic positioning of the portfolio. And WAMCO is looking for, Western is looking for a replacement either internally or externally. Given the magnitude of this change, he has 46 years of experience. We do think it is appropriate to place this fund on watch, and we'll continue to monitor that fund very closely going forward.
So is it?
Yeah.
So is there a sheet listing those who are on the watch list?
Yes, in fact, if you fast forward a few pages, you go to page 23, everything is listed there with all the critical items you need.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Please.
So we need to vote.
Is there a recommendation for a fund to come off watch also?
Not at this time. That was addressed at the last meeting.
Was it?
Yeah, that was, I think SGA came off on.
SGA, that's correct. That is correct. Their performance has improved and has continued to improve. In fact, if you look at the trailing 5-year period, the differential was over 100 basis points in performance. But because the fund has done so well most recently, that differential has come below 100 basis points. And as the fund continues to deliver alpha, we expect that that 5-year number will show excess returns going forward. So that, yeah, so they've continued to do well.
We need a motion to,
So I-
that includes what they just spoke to, remove SGA coming off the watch. Okay.
so,
Go
did
ahead.
you want to read it? So moved. The
Oh, make
motion is,
approval of the watch
to
list.
Approval of the watch
approve, the watch list quarters,
Is it quarter
for the
1,
quarter
2024?
1, 2. Quarter, it says quarter for 24.
Yep.
First quarter 24, total fund performance review. And I move that.
I don't know who did it first. Okay, motion's made by trustee Price Ward, seconded by trustee Vincent. You call the question.
Trustee Barajas,
Yes.
trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Yes.
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward,
Yes.
Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
trustee Vincent,
Yes.
and trustee Washington.
Yes.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you, Angel.
Good to see you too.
Okay, we're ahead of schedule. Lunch should be here about noon, so we'll go to 13 and do the report on the executive director.
All right, thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. The executive director report, as noted in the written materials, is an update on the state of the fund to officially put on record for the board, for the public and our members, the strategic and tactical initiatives that our team has implemented since I returned to the fund almost 3.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago in August of 21. First, let me start with saying that I'm grateful for this opportunity to represent CTPF as the executive director. As many of you know, it was a long time career goal, and it would not have been possible without this board. You'll recall that when I began in 2021, we can agree that I joined an organization that had gone through a tumultuous period. We'd experienced inefficient board meetings, high staff turnover, as well as low morale. Together with this board, we set out on a path of rebuilding, establishing trust, and moving this organization forward. We were building and learning together. And this board has provided tremendous support, which has allowed us to really enter into a new period of stability and transparency. So one of the most important steps that we've taken as an organization really was the creation of the first strategic plan back in 2022. That plan, created with input from all the stakeholders, including the board, clearly demonstrates organizational priorities and sets actionable goals by year. And it is that document that you as trustees can examine regularly to determine how we are managing and also our progress as an organization. The strategic plan categorizes our work into 4 themes, and they're all based on our mission. Number 1, ensuring efficient and effective management. 2, providing for and enhancing the economic well-being for our members. Earning and keeping stakeholder respect. And finally, ensuring compliance with applicable laws and standards. Our strategic plan ensures that we are managing to our mission and that our mission is at the heart of every task that we undertake. The State of the Fund overview takes the same approach. It categorizes our progress based on these 4 pillars of our mission. So I appreciate your attention as I review some of the highlights of our accomplishments over the last 34 months. Starting with ensuring efficient and effective management. Effective and efficient management is the foundation for our success. And during the past 3 years, we have made tremendous progress in ensuring that our administrative structure supports the policy direction that's been provided by our trustees, as well as the needs of our organization and our members. Back in November of 2021, the board took a notable action, amending the delegation policy to clearly define the roles and responsibilities of the board and the executive director. That step helped all of us to clarify and embrace our respective roles as policy setters, administrators, and above all, as fiduciaries of the fund. As the head of the administrative function, I have prioritized outreach and communication, and I send a report, as you know, each Friday with an activity summary, an investment report, as well as an outreach update. The report underscores my commitment to transparency, and it helps to ensure that you have the insight and that you can understand the work that we undertake on behalf of the members. I'm your primary point of contact for the fund, so I make myself available to address your requests and your needs. I have made it clear that I'm accountable to you, that I value your counsel, and that together we share the same goals for our fund. So my commitment to transparency and accountability, I think most of all, has been manifested in the reconstitution of our internal audit department. When I arrived, this department, to put it bluntly, was not operational. And during the past 2 years, we have seen it grow and flourish under our new Director of Internal Audit. You now receive an annual risk assessment, an audit plan, and regular updates. Focusing on this important function does what? It puts continuous improvement at the center of the organization. We have also rebuilt our human resources department after years of instability and turnover in the leadership role, which has helped to renew our focus on employee development, and it's brought stability to the organization. Let me share these statistics. Our voluntary turnover rate reached a high of 18.7% in 2021. It fell to 2.91% in 2023, and it has been 0 in 2024. Data and its efficient management are at the heart of our organization, and our work to replace our aging pension administration system, Project Titus, is our most critical priority. In spite of setbacks that we heard about this morning with our original vendor, we proceeded rapidly with a new vendor, and this past March, we completed phase 1 after reviewing more than 1,800 requirements. And we were able to get through the fit and the gap sessions so to make sure that all the requirements of the system would be addressed. The work on this project comes in addition to our staff doing full days and schedules and taking care of the day-to-day. We appreciate and acknowledge the tremendous commitment of the staff that has leaned in to this highest priority for our organization. We've continued to expand and improve our member service, self-service portal, My CTPF. It was supported by a cross-organizational team, developed a portal that now serves over 20,270 users. The portal's implementation has enabled us to eliminate the costly mailing of annual member statements, and it provides an enhanced service to our members. So I take pride in these improvements in our efficient and effective management, and these steps have really set the foundation for all the functions that we do daily on behalf of the fund and our members. The next pillar of our mission statement, providing for and enhancing the economic well-being of our members. As a pension fund, we take in contributions, we invest them, and then we return those funds to our members in the form of benefits. Providing and enhancing the economic well-being of our members is of utmost importance, and we continue to deliver on that goal. It wasn't long ago that each June, our executive director and staff, we would wait anxiously to see if CPS would make their required contribution by June 30th. I'm happy to report that we have stabilized and diversified our revenue sources, and our finance team has ensured the receipt of required contributions and normalizing those receipts from the state of Illinois. Delivering high-quality reporting, offering critical support for ongoing audits, and streamlining the budgeting process to ensure efficient and effective use of our resources. We have implemented a new accounting software, and we're currently implementing new budgeting and procurement systems, which will improve access to information, tracking, and reporting. We have earned unmodified opinions from our external auditor, who also noted the tremendous cooperation and teamwork that was provided by our finance team. We have earned the Governance Finance Officers Association Certificate of Achievement in Financial Reporting, consistently recognizing organizations that exceed the minimum requirements of generally accepted accounting principles to prepare the annual comprehensive financial reports. And this is consistent with the spirit of transparency and full disclosure. We are nearing completion of the fund's first forensic audit. You're going to hear about phase 3 this afternoon. It was conducted by a highly respected accounting firm that employs certified public accountants with extensive experience and background in performing this work. And this is an important distinction, as a true forensic audit should be a specific and prescribed process conducted by qualified and impartial individuals without professional conflicts or personal gains. The audit results will be shared with the board and the public in another demonstration of our commitment to transparency and improvement. And I expect that this will provide peace of mind to our trustees and our members. Last year, we created an employer services department, and we completely restructured the way we handle audits of our charter schools. And this has been a tremendous lift. It was done while more than doubling, as you heard at the Finance and Audit Committee, doubling the yearly audit goal and saving the fund hundreds of thousands of dollars. After years of stagnation and stalled progress with incongruous policies and outside firms, we brought much of this work in-house, and it would move forward rapidly with the first ever audit of Chicago Public Schools. We have undertaken ambitious goals in the investment department, creating a statement of investment beliefs, reviewing and when possible, reducing fees, and rethinking how we invest to ensure long-term performance and growth. We moved forward with our ambitious ESG goals and examined and updated our asset allocation policy to account for the realities of today's volatile markets. The fund also hired a vendor to manage the fund's proxy voting rights and to ensure that the fund's priorities are reflected in our corporate voting. We accomplished these goals while delivering long-term results, exceeding our investment target by more than 200 basis points. Our team did this while continuing to provide extraordinary opportunities for our MWDBE managers, and our fund continues to lead the nation in providing these opportunities. 51% of our portfolio is managed by MWDBE managers. The policies that this board sets, executed by our investment team, demonstrate that we do well while doing good. And that's an exceptional point of pride for this organization. No other fund in the state of Illinois comes close to offering these opportunities to MWDBE managers. Of course, our primary work is to provide pensions, and so our benefits team has made tremendous progress, reducing processing time for pensioners and refund requests. They've eliminated backlogs, improved the self-service options that are available for our members. Communications have improved. We resolved issues with our members quickly, and we prioritize our members' needs, focusing on data cleanup, providing subject matter expertise, and leadership for Titus. We have dropped the pension processing time to move benefits from their preliminary stage to final from an average of 22.4 months in 2021 to 6 months in 2024. This is a remarkable turnaround and represents the tremendous work by our benefits team. Our death and disability teams have improved processing timeframes tremendously. The team consistently reviews and identifies deaths and incoming applications promptly and have utilized new technology and resources to ensure prompt reporting. Our health insurance program has aggressively bid out their programs and continues to seek efficiencies, which allow us to lower premiums and maintain our 60% health subsidy. Our work to collect, invest, and distribute benefits to our members has significantly improved, and we continue to prioritize these functions. Under the category Earning and Keeping Stakeholder Respect, the many stakeholders that we serve and collaborate with include our members, our trustees, our employers, reciprocal systems, member and retiree associations, legislators, as well as our business partners. I'm proud of the work that we've achieved in this regard as well, and want to offer some highlights that demonstrate our commitment. We've made tremendous progress in improving the efficiency and effectiveness of our trustee meetings, trustee education, and improving staff board relations, helping to ensure that the trustees feel informed, engaged, and valued. A recognition program was started in 2022, which highlights the trustees' service annually. During the 102nd legislative session, we successfully codified 22 leave days for our active educators, so our active trustees have the time to focus on the fund's business and complete the training that they need to uphold their fiduciary duties. Our meeting schedule has been streamlined. Pre-board meetings allow a deep dive into topics when needed and contribute tremendously to effective meetings. The fund has made several additional commitments to transparency and accountability. We offer meetings in the hybrid mode, including public participation, and most recently, posting the video from meetings within 5 days of the meetings on our website. We have scanned and published the entire library of our trustee meeting minutes, now offering a complete catalog back to 1895 on our website. We have prioritized stakeholder outreach and collaboration, and our member services unit, which is the face of the organization, has made significant investments in training that have yielded immediate results. For example, the team has implemented new reporting and scheduling in the call center with improved analytics and call transcriptions. Member Services offers multiple webinars to assist and educate thousands of members on retirement, health insurance, open enrollment, Medicare eligibility, and general information about CTPF benefits. The team has recently partnered with the Chicago Teachers Union to offer new programming targeting mid-career and Tier 2 members along with traditional retirement programming. We've expanded our communication and outreach to membership and have developed a consistent program of high-quality branded information that ensures our members stay informed and stay engaged. I meet with our members quarterly and present a series of town hall webinars that keep our membership informed and up to date. As the website has become our primary communication tool, we've also focused resources on this important asset and provide updates and information on a daily basis. New communications have targeted our newest and most senior members in the past 2 years. We now send a quarterly email with a letter from the executive director sharing a welcome message, information about their pension benefit, and where to find additional information. On the other end of the spectrum, retirees turning 90 and 100, and then each year after their 100th birthday, they receive a hand-signed card for the month of their birthday. We've continued to develop partnerships with our stakeholder groups. CTPF sends monthly reports, for example, to our counterparts at the CTU for the House of Delegates meeting and separate communications for the CTU retirees and the RTAC retirees. We continue to reach out to our stakeholders in Springfield. We've actively participated in several House Personnel and Pensions Committee hearings, and the outreach has led to an invitation to sit on the City of Chicago's Pension Working Group. I regularly attend these meetings, and as they grapple with the fiscal cliff and discuss how they're going to resolve Tier 2 and other reforms for the City of Chicago. I'm proud of the expansive program of communication and engagement, which again demonstrates our commitment and respect for our stakeholders daily. CTPF's leadership in this area is another point of pride for our organization. And then finally, under ensuring compliance with applicable laws and standards, again, managing to our mission. Ensuring that CTPF follows applicable laws and standards is critical to the mission. We've taken steps in the past 2 years to rethink and reconsider how we use our legal services. Sometimes a fresh set of eyes is necessary in our transition to a new fiduciary council to support the organization after a robust RFP process in 2022. The first of this kind in 3 decades has brought clarity, consistency, and created a partnership and positive approach to our meetings and policy settings. The engagement also clarified that our fiduciary council would not litigate cases on behalf of the fund, eliminating potential conflicts of interest. During the past 2 years, our legal team has brought a tremendous amount of work in-house that had previously been performed by outside firms, including our executive session meeting minutes and the management of the administrative hearing process under Trustee Nelson for return to work issues. So in conclusion, I'm proud to say that together, we've transformed our 2021 vision into tangible achievements. Our collaborative efforts have yielded a strategic plan with actionable goals, fostering accountability across our team. And through this shared commitment, we've translated concepts into concrete actions, prioritizing the needs of our members. We are a well-managed fund because we manage to our mission and we consistently demonstrate respect for our stakeholders. Our prudent investments, our strong financial stewardship have helped advance the economic well-being of our members, and we've really ushered in a new era of transparency and accessibility, where decisions that are made in this boardroom can be streamlined into classrooms. Are we perfect? Far from it. But we do support each other, and we truly act as a team. When we identify a problem, we work toward a solution, we learn from our mistakes, and we use them to improve the organization. So reflecting on our tremendous progress in this short time, I know that moving forward, our dedication to our members will remain unwavering. As we embrace our new technologies, we refine our processes, and we nurture new ideas. We have created a productive partnership, and I really look forward to continuing this journey of strategic improvement for the benefit of the members. So, Mr. President, just a couple updates in terms of our contribution summary. The FY24 required contribution to the fund was $1,022,546,000. To date, we have collected $662.2 million, and we have another $360.3 to collect, which we expect to collect with the fall payment of the tax levy. And update on legislation. Trustee Nelson would be interested in hearing this. Pertinent language from Senate Bill 3346 related to the return to work for service retirees on a temporary or non-annual basis, not to exceed 140 days, has been extended through June 30th, 2027. Along with return to work in a subject shortage area, that has also been extended to June 30th, 2027.
And I'd also like to add that I would like to commend the lobbyists and the trustees for also bringing that in play. Because I read in our text that it was like, what they had presented, the fact that they had worked on it, but we had also worked on that. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
I have my hand up.
Want to say thank you, Carlton, for that report, and thank you to all the staff for your incredible work, helping make it our jobs a lot easier. And thank you all the trustees for coming here. But that's, I mean, I don't have anything to say about that report. I can only say thank you, and thank you to all the staff for the hard work that you put in every day. Go ahead, and then I got Maria.
I would just like to draw attention to the many, many accomplishments in process and the collaboration with staff. It takes all of us, including this board, to manage this fund. And clearly you can see in this extended report, and I thank you for elaborating with the columns, because we are about transparency. And if we have a problem, we're going to work together to fix it. And that includes everybody in this organization, everybody, and being positive. And we can think better when we're being positive. All right, things come up that I think creativity. And I just want to thank everybody here, because over this past several years, we have really come together. And everything is transparent. If someone sees something that's wrong, please, we're not afraid. Bring it up, and then we're going to work together to find a solution. And if we continue this way, and I know we will, there's no limit to how far we can go. We have talented people here. We have an exceptional executive director. We have a exceptional board that can have a difference of opinion and come together and discuss and give our evidence of why we are thinking this way or voting this way. And if we can do that, and then we respect each other's opinion or about how they vote. So I am just overwhelmed and overjoyed that we have gotten to this place. And I plan on us going further. And I think everybody on this board and everybody in this organization have the same goal. So thank you to everyone. This has been, it's been a pleasure. And it's gonna get gooder and gooder.
Jeff.
I got Maria next, and then you, Madam Chair.
No, she can go ahead.
You can go ahead. You were next.
My question is, the ACFR that used to be called the CAFR, what is our current funding right now?
Could you speak to your mic? We can't hear you over. We can't hear you. Could you speak to the mic?
Okay, it is on, closer?
Yeah.
Put away, yeah. No, my question, Executive Director, what used to be called our CAFR, our ACFR, where are we now? Because we're going into that new cycle starting July 1st. Do you know currently what our funding is?
Yeah, and as you know, Trustee Rodriguez, the valuation is done annually. And
Right.
so the annual valuation will give the data to our actuary in July or August. And then we'll come back with where we are as of June 30th, 24. But as of June 30th, 23, we're at 47.2%.
Right, because everything we have is always a year in arrears, and I'm just wondering if you had any indication of where we were at right now. So currently then from last year, we're still at what?
47.2%.
47.2?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Sharon.
After all this wonderful news, we have to keep in mind, we don't want to become an Ohio teachers,
Oh, yes.
because that's a disaster and it's been going on for years. And if you don't know about it, kind of just look it up and you'll see what a nightmare it's been for them.
Where are we at? Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I think we're close enough to
Oh, I'm sorry, Jen.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Second part of the ED report is an update on a request that we had to take a look at the impact of doubling the death benefit from the current 5,000 to 10,000. And Jen has an update that she's going to share from our actuary.
Thank you. And there's a quick presentation. I'll try not to make it too long, but okay. Okay, so this is describing the actuarial impact of what it would be to increase the death benefit for our retirees. We can go to the first slide. So this issue was brought to our attention at the October 2023 board meeting when one of our former trustees raised a concern about the amount of the death benefit for retirees. And for most retirees, that ends up being $5,000. So at that time, we did a presentation of that calculation. The calculation is different for in-service versus the retiree, so that everybody could understand what the difference is. So most in-service death benefits are $10,000. Most retiree death benefits end up being $5,000. And I'm not going to get into the details. They're in the appendix. If you want to ask questions, I can answer them. The reason for that is that the statute has language about a step-down formula. So the calculation is the same, but then there's a step-down after you retire. GRS was asked to evaluate the financial impact of changing the death benefit so that it would be consistent for all to $10,000. And so they modeled this for us. And they found that in order to maintain our desired funded ratio that we're going for, right, by 2059, in order to do that, we would have to increase employer contributions to fund the benefit increase. So on the next page, I'll just give you some facts about how they did their analysis. So they said, let's, instead of 5,000, we're going to go 10,000 across the board. They wanted to focus on the benefit increase, like I said, by maintaining our funded ratio goal of 90% by 2059. They used the results of the last actuarial evaluation. We just talked about that. That was as of June 30th, 2023. We don't have 24 yet. And they stated that prospective changes would be reflected in the June 30th projected results. So death benefits changing for the next fiscal year. And that is used to calculate the 2026 statutory contribution. And they did not include any contribution risks such as an employer's inability to pay or late payments. So we can go to the next slide. They projected for the 2026 fiscal year, which would have the initial impact, that contributions would need to be increased by $4,878,000 that year. It's an increase for the Board of Education of $4,359,000 and the normal state contribution of $519,000. This is what their model showed. And that's about 0.5% more than they're expected to pay now. And you can go to the next slide. They also projected out the cost over up until 2059, again, trying to stay with our 90% goal. And that overall would be an increase of $238,742,000. Most of that would be with the requirement for the Board of Education contribution of over $220 million. And then the state normal costs would be increased by $18 million over that period. Okay, so that really concludes, just so that you have an idea of what the cost would be to make this benefit change. So if you have questions or anything, let us know. I'm going to defer that to our Wonderful executive
Yeah,
director.
as we shared in pre-boards, essentially, the homework is done in terms of the impact on our employers, which this last slide shows $238.7 million. We have higher priorities, addressing tier two, the safe harbor issues. And this is something that when we shared it with one of our stakeholders, it was something that by education and better planning, it really shouldn't be pushed to the pension plan. Our members can do a better job of finding other resources rather than making this a priority for the pension plan.
How long have the death benefits been around? Anybody know?
I don't know when they started. I can look that up though, but a long time.
Not 1895 though.
I don't think so. No.
I think you mentioned something about our tax interest in this. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, as a stakeholder, it wasn't something that they would be interested in moving forward. And they're the ones that really provided the feedback that this is just a matter of members doing better planning rather than making this an expense for the pension plan.
Did you have your hand up or were you pointing to Maria? No, actually, let me get Maria, then I'll come back to you. Okay.
I had a question, and I understand, and everybody wants help from us, and there's this death benefit. But do we ever look at what people's pensions are? Because this last group were the last of those who worked 34 years. I don't know, that's something that might need it, if that was part of the analysis, I don't know. I mean, if people are making, say, 85,000, and opposed to somebody who's still getting 39,000, those who retired many, many years ago, 85,000, I don't know. I mean, doesn't everybody have life insurance at 85,000 or, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just trying to be fair, balance it. Do we look at those statistics? Are you making 85,000? You know, we're great because we offer that health insurance subsidy. And I believe there's only 3 pensions in the US who do that, if I'm not mistaken. Am I close to that, Executive Director Lenore?
Yeah, I don't know the exact figures on it, but I know that locally TRS had it and they gave it up to the state. They gave it up to the state. So there's not normally in the state of Illinois pension funds that also have their health insurance plan.
That's my point. So that is a big perk. That is a big perk for us. And I tell people, don't take it for granted. Don't take it for granted.
Quentin, Mary sharing this.
Thank you firstly for the rundown of this. And the way I feel about this is I do agree that our legislative agenda has a lot of things on it that really needs that we need to prioritize for current active members as it pertains to their contributions, future retirees. And the other thing about this, when you think about death, one thing we all in this room know is going to happen. All of us are going to leave here one of these days. And so you have to prepare for war in a time of peace. You don't start figuring out how you're going to get put up once you 65 and 70 years old, because this is going to be expensive anyway. And this is not insurance. This is a death benefit.
Right.
And so, you know, you plan to the point that was made by some of the stakeholders, because the reality is if someone leaves here and they have not taken this step, this benefit can help. And as a family, I have been in that position with my aunt who passed, and she didn't have insurance. Her insurance is at lapse. And as a family, thank God we did have this. It helped. But at the end of the day, we as a family had to figure out what we were going to do. And so people need to prepare for that. And my recommendation, Mike, would be that maybe that's something on the onboarding process on the CPS side, and on the union side, we need to be educating our members about getting what my grandmother used to call street insurance, because that insurance that we get from CPS through Prudential or whoever's offered through today, that's good as long as you're an active employee with the school district. But once you retire, I'm not sure that you can keep it. And if you can, then you probably should. Or you're gonna pay, because it's going to be a difference in cost. But I think we need to educate our members about this stuff, because a lot of our members don't even realize they get a death benefit.
Right.
That's the other part of it too. Some of them just don't know. So we just want to be conscious about that. And thank you all for sharing this, because I think that people should realize the financial impacts. It sounds good to get, in a perfect world, we would have an amazing death benefit. Heck, in a perfect world, the city of Chicago would bury us for the 40 years of hard labor we've given them and all that stuff, and pay off our houses and all that. In a perfect world, that's not happening. So in the interim, we need to prepare for what it is that we want to see at the end of our journey, because all of our journeys are going to come to an end. And so that's on people to make sure that they have prepared financially for what they're going to do with themselves, or what their people are going to do with them once they have transitioned. So thank you.
Mary Sharon and Lois.
Yeah. I think what this brings to mind is the focus really has to be the tier twos. Nothing else is important compared to that.
I agree.
And how we're going to get it, I have no idea. We can thank Mayor Daley for 1995 and what he did to us, because it was so unjust. I mean, he should be in jail for it. Yeah, bleep that one out, please.
She said bleep that.
When I think of it, he and I are the same age. And I have a wonderful pension, but I feel bad for the people who will not.
That's priority.
Lois.
Thank you. And I agree with that about the tier two, but I also have empathy for those retirees who retired a long time ago, who were perhaps the only breadwinner within their family, and a very reasonable, cheap insurance or burial now is $10,000. So if someone is only, their people are only receiving $5,000, that's not even the cheapest of a burial.
Right.
Because we're looking at inflation. So I don't put myself in that category because, I don't have to worry. But I have empathy for those who are in that category.
Right.
So if we can work on both, then I would be happy if we were to work on both. Because I know some people who have worked hard all their lives and they've put money into this fund. And for them to not have enough for a decent burial is sad to me. So I thank you.
Yeah, those 39,000 a year, that's nothing.
Some things you can't afford to do, you can't afford
You
not
just
to do.
cannot
Right.
afford, you
It's
can't.
just that simple. People have to prioritize what's important to them.
Yeah, and you can't have a Cadillac funeral on beer money. So-
But nowadays, you can't have a cheap one.
That's true.
And that this is just me personally, and I did get permission from the president to speak, just so you all know. But you know what? My whole concept of funerals and death and all of that burial, it has totally changed. Because, and that's by example. The first person that passed in my family was my father. And I was a Union officer. And I look back on that and I said, what were you thinking? It's $20,000 in the ground. And that's not really realistic. I am not independently wealthy, but the most of the burden on that fell on me because I was an officer of the Union, but it has changed. My opinion about that has changed tremendously. And I think that we need to think more about the people that are living, that are left behind, as opposed to, just throwing all this money. But that's just me. That's my personal opinion. But I wanted to just say thank you so much, Jen. This is real knowledge right here. And that's what I was talking about. We have brilliant people that bring data and information to us that are applicable in our everyday lives. This is really, really something, this is a keeper. Because, you know, I know the numbers will change, but the concept of it. And when I was speaking legislatively, I'm thinking about after we win, do all the other stuff. And tier 2 is a priority, I know, for us and definitely for me, because I do, as you said, Trustee Nelson, that's not fair. It's not fair. And that's just robbing people, in my opinion. But maybe we need to bleep that out too. But in any event, I thank you. Thank you. And this is perfect example of how working together, we are being educated. We getting a Yale, Harvard education at these meetings, really, honestly, because they are so applicable to life and they're applicable to our members. And we always need to be trying to do better for our members and make their lives a little easier. Because, you know, I'm gonna tell y'all, we have so much to do as teachers. There are unreasonable expectations, but we do it. Why do we do it? For the members of our classroom, okay? The members of our classroom, we sacrifice. And we here as a pension fund and a pension board, that's how we need to address the members as a functioning board. That we need to make their lives as good as we can, much better. And we have to fight for that. So get your gloves on.
I worked in the glory days when teachers could be teachers.
Oh, okay.
And we could do what we wanted with our children. I mean, one year I took my children on 6 field trips. Some of them we walked. We walked to Schwinn Bike, to the library. But you could do things differently. But back to the day, I was president of the board from 93 to 2002. In those days, we were between 95 and 100% funded. That diversion is what cost us, and that's why we're at the 46, because we haven't gotten contribution all those years.
Yeah.
But at one time, we were 100%. And it's unfortunate, because, I mean, that money belonged to us. But it was, and the union was threatened that they would never get a salary increase if they didn't approve it. Because they were using the tax dollars that were supposed to go to the pension fund to give salary increases to teachers. You know, kick the can down the road. But it doesn't work that way. I mean, our funding, our goal is by 2059. The rest of the funds aren't that late.
No.
I think they're 2045,
They are.
which is bad enough. You can't, I mean, that's not a realistic goal anyway. So we've been hurt by it and we've given our lives for it. Thank you.
No, I was just gonna say about we're ready for lunch, so we can take the bathroom break and lunch so we can get out on time.
Is lunch clear? Okay, we'll break. We'll come back at time on the schedule, because we're ahead already, right? Because we did your report, right? Or you want to come back?
One,
That's one.
yeah,
No, that's two, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. Let's
1
take a
o'clock.
break for lunch and come back at 1.
Yep. 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. Thank you, Jen.
12:15.
Sharina. It's your special trustee. Is it on or no? No. Is the video on? It's on, so they're watching us. Let people know. Excuse me, everyone. The video is on. We're watched, right?
If you know of any recent something.
Yeah, Miss Davis, they got the video on. I'm okay. Yeah. No, so people know that, yeah. All right.
Trustee Barajas,
Present.
trustee Beza,
Present. Present.
trustee Nelson,
Present.
trustee Ochoa,
Present.
trustee Price Ward,
Present.
trustee Riley, trustee Rodriguez,
Present.
trustee Benson,
Present.
trustee Washington,
Present.
and trustee Woods.
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That takes us to 14, executive session. Oh. We have to go in executive session for executive session minutes, litigation matters under section 2C 11 of the Open Meetings Act, personnel matters under section 2C 1 of the Open Meetings Act, and internal control matters, section 2C 29 of the Open Meetings Act. I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So move.
Motion was made by trustee Price Ward and seconded by trustee Riley. Okay.
Trustee Barajas,
Yes.
trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Yes.
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward,
Yes.
trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
trustee Benson,
Yes.
and trustee Washington.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're not ahead of the game now. We're behind. All this time, I mean. midterms, elections. None of this.
Roll call, trustee Barajas. Present. Trustee Beza,
Present.
well,
Present.
trustee Nelson,
Present.
trustee Ochoa,
Present.
trustee Price Ward,
Present.
trustee Riley,
Present.
trustee Rodriguez,
Present.
trustee Benson,
Present.
trustee Washington.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that takes us to 15 D.
I'm not drinking these days.
I'm sorry, 15A. Approval of executive session minutes from May 16th, 2024, regular board meeting, and May 21st.
So moved.
That's a what? Oh, it's as amended, I'm sorry. May 16th, as amended, 2024 regular board meetings, and May 21st, 2024
Put 'em
special
together.
board meeting. I'd like to entertain the motion.
So moved.
Second.
Victor?
Yeah.
Okay, motion was made by Mary Sharon Riley and seconded by Victor. And call the question.
Trustee Barajas. Trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Yes.
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward,
Yes.
trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
Absolutely no.
trustee Benson,
Yes.
Trustee Washington.
Yes.
Thank you. That's 9 ayes, 1 nay.
Thank you. Carolyn, let me ask you for B, based on what's in closed session, is that even still
Yeah,
something?
yeah, I mean, I don't think we got any indication that we wanted to pursue subpoint B.
Okay, so
at
that's,
this
we
point.
just skipped that. Okay, just making sure. Okay,
Email.
right. Right. Okay, so 15C, approval of vesting settlement authority and executive director. I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of vesting. Thank you. A motion is made by Price Ward and seconded by Ochoa. And call the question.
Trustee Barajas,
Yes.
trustee Beza,
Yes.
trustee Blackwell,
Yes.
trustee Nelson,
Yes.
trustee Ochoa,
Yes.
trustee Price Ward,
Yes.
trustee Riley,
Yes.
trustee Rodriguez,
No.
trustee Vincent,
Yes.
and trustee Washington.
Yes.
And just for clarity of the minutes, that was in regards to the Silvergate litigation.
Yes, thank you, Carolyn.
So what'd you say, Carol?
Just to clarify, I don't think it was said clearly that it's the Silvergate litigation that settlement authority is being
Thank you.
provided.
Okay. That takes us to 16, unfinished business. Go ahead, Vic.
Tell me if this is the right place or not, but I was hoping to get a little brief background on the communications committee, if there ever was one and anything like that.
Yes, in the past, CTPF has had a communications committee. It started around, 20, I can give you the exact date, but in the early 2000s, and that was before we had an electronic communications program. And one of the main goals was to ensure that we were moving into the future in terms of getting emails set up, having a social media presence, and helping to develop future forward-looking communications. The committee was in existence for about 10 years and met rarely, and was disbanded when the committees were reorganized, because communications reports through the director every single week to the board, through the activity reports, also monthly to the director, and as needed. So there was the feeling that there was plenty of communication directly to the board regarding communications activities.
So if I understood the first part of that, the communications committee was about process of communications and modes in the future, not so much as the content of the communications.
Correct.
Okay.
It was about having a more forward-looking, we didn't have a website, we didn't have a social media presence, and it was about how we use our communication modalities and what we are projecting. We've caught up, right? Like, we are now communicating regularly. We are communicating using all possible modalities. We've established a high-quality program. We have a communications calendar for the year. None of those things had taken place 2 decades ago, and we've caught up to where we need to be.
So the person who comes onto the public participation and brings it up as if the content was part of it, but it was not. Okay, thank you for the explanation.
Mayor Sharon.
You know, wasn't there, I mean, through communication, wasn't there different programs that were implemented? I can't even remember what they were called. You remember?
There were, at different points in time, when the board has had different priorities, there were things like the pension fund ambassador program.
Yeah, that's what kind of what I'm thinking about.
And so that was mainly directed towards reinstating the tax levy, which was done in 2016.
Yeah.
So we've had many different educational programs, we've had many different options. And a lot of times those come out not of a communications committee, but out of a different committee's needs. In that case, it was pension law and rules that actually.
Right. I mean, is there a need for a communication committee? I mean, what power would that committee have? I don't think any.
Go ahead, Jack.
So, being the last communications chair
and best,
And even with that being done, you know, that document that when we would report at the House of Delegates meeting, that took the place of and made it electronic for all of that communication back and forth, even with the union. So in the packet, that document, and I tell you, people love it. And it gives you a snapshot of the whole pension fund. Well, you know, you reported at the HOD, and I've used it to report at the HOD.
And it goes to RTIC too.
Yes,
There's
and
one, it's a
now,
little
and
more
we just heard
specific.
today that RTAG, they're like, hey, we see y'all get this, why can't we get it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
So-
how long we've been getting it at RTIC, but.
Yeah, but emulation, I mean, they like that because it's not no 10-page document. These are snapshots. They are
It's one page.
figures. They're just, you know, graphics. And that's what the last thing that the communications department did. And I said, I want this simple and graphic. And to me, that closed the communications department because we communicate through all kind of media.
Right.
So I'm glad this came up because I'm puzzled as to why there was a request to restore the communications department. This is every meeting. So I don't understand. I truly don't understand because I thought that what we were needed to communicate, that one document took care of it. That one document. I'm sorry. I'm not sharing this meeting.
I'm
Sorry.
But what you're talking about, I want to say also, is that I use Michelle's document for the retirees.
Oh, no,
I'm,
wait a minute now, wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
That was the communication committee's document.
We prefer.
Okay. Well,
That
you know,
was a conglomeration.
But you
better
mentioned-
talk about everybody that participated in that.
But you mentioned that it used to be used for the meetings, the CTU meetings.
No, I said it's still used for the
Well,
meeting.
what I'm saying is that I've been using that as a catalyst for my discussions at the retiree meetings, the functional meetings.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you, thank you.
And to the communications department.
Thank you.
Default.
Thank you. You good, Victor? Okay, that takes us to 17. Paula and I had, did you want to articulate it or you want, since we communicated with Fernando, you want him to articulate it? Is he hiding back there?
Yeah, so we talked about an issue with one of the managers and one of their holdings. Did you want to go into detail? Okay, so just a little bit. One of our infrastructure managers, Macquarie, in Macquarie 5, bought a 50% interest in an 8-unit hospital, for-profit hospital system in Massachusetts. In May, early May, that hospital system declared bankruptcy. They had a difficult time keeping up with their rent payments, which essentially was for the reason why the infrastructure fund invested in it for the first place, to get rents from the hospital. So now several senators have brought it up to put a little pressure on these managers to ease up and help this hospital system, because if that hospital system goes out of business, it'll impact a pretty decent chunk of Massachusetts. So we are going to investigate the issue a little bit further with the manager and find out what recommendation we could bring to the board or what kind of action, if we have any. So again, just a little bit of background, we invested 25 million in that fund. It's an almost $7 billion fund. So our portion of it is about 0.0361%. So effectively, it's 1.4 million out of our 25 million that is invested in that hospital system. So both from a PR and just again, investment standpoint, if they're not able to salvage that investment, it would be an impact of 1.4 million. But again, the bigger issue is, it's a PR issue also, that since the senators are bringing it up.
Jeff.
I'm sorry.
Okay, no, he's first, but go ahead.
Macquarie.
Query, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like relative to that, I don't know how many of you have noticed this, but Resurrection Hospital on the northwest side is part of a group called Ascension. And they've turned over the management of their professional staff to a private equity firm. A third of their professional staff quit. And it has to be happening elsewhere. And then I don't know if anybody's noticed, there's been advertising on the radio about how United Healthcare is not paying. I think it's, Michelle, help me, who is the system that they're complaining about? Is it Loyola? Or who's complaining about United? Loyola?
Loyola.
Yeah, that they're not being, United's not being fair with them. I mean, this is a major problem in healthcare. And then when these,
Maria was next, and I'll come to you, Paula.
Yeah, no, just we're under new business, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Question for the.
Is it pertaining to this? Because Paula has a question, and I'll come back to you. Is it
Okay.
a different issue?
Yes, it is. I'm sorry. I thought we were done with that.
Look, this is why both me and you brought this in, is because how they're making money, right? And how they're stretching the staff there. So we would like that, Fernando kind of dig deeper so that what we could do and try to help them.
yeah, I mean, because they're doctors and nurses, they're not, CNAs.
And I'm sorry, just to chime in, because the hospital system they're talking about works predominantly with lower income people of color. So yeah, I agree, we should be in.
Okay, anybody else on that issue before I go to Maria?
Just to continue this discussion, I was in a nursing home for 3 weeks at the end of March. And I don't know who these people were that were supposed to be providing service, but they didn't do it. I mean, you would ask them to come to help you and you'd wait an hour. It was awful. And that is, it was a nursing home that was good a year ago and was acquired by a group called Legacy. No.
Right, exactly.
Right. And that's the major point. So I don't know what that looks like, but that gives me great pause that somebody is doing something like that. Because if they're doing it there, what's to say that that's not their business practice and they're going all over the place doing that and we're tethered to it. That's very problematic. Yes. And so, and based off what you said, I know that our investment is small in comparison to everybody else's. I don't care if it was $5. I want my $5 back. And that's for me, I'd rather take my ball and go home than to stay on the court and watch them do something nefarious.
Right. Jackie, then go back
Okay, and then I'll just do, but this is a global problem.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
A global problem. And I can use myself as an example. As a family, we had to make a schedule for my sister. We had to have somebody go in the wee hours of the morning, soon as they open, midday, like on vacation now, if I'm here, I would run up at various times, but we made a schedule because every time we came up there, we had to ask them to do their job. Not some of the time, every time. Every time for patients that, this is just my conspiracy theory. Why, when you go to the hospital, you can't breathe, all of a sudden you were breathing when you got there, and then you can't breathe, so we're gonna cut your throat and give you a trach.
Yep.
This is a growing pattern of healthcare in these nursing homes. So the patients that cannot talk, they don't do anything for because they can't complain. So that's why we had to develop this schedule and keep going up there and maintain, all we could ask for is that my sister's comfortable. That's all we were asking for. So we had to keep leveling up the care till we had to go to hospice level to really get a modicum of the care that she was supposed to get. We're coming in there, wiping her face. There's a little sponge toothbrush, I mean, I'm telling you, then you walk in there and people are hovering around the desk with their outside food, sitting on the desk, and 60% of the buzzers are on. And they're ignoring them. And then they will come in the room with an attitude and turn the buzz off. So we played that buzzer game for a little while until they saw we weren't playing. But this is a very, very serious problem. And it's saying that life is not important. These people have been written off. And I have a real problem with everybody that goes to the hospital. Why do they end up with a trach? Why? We got a whole floor of people, where my sister was, a whole floor, everybody. That's a trach floor. So I think it's something going on. And then they don't want, and the people don't want to be bothered. And the other people that are there, when you're not there, they can't even speak up for themselves. This is a huge problem that really needs to be investigated. I have lived it. So I really feel like this is a beginning, but this is just a drop, one drop in the bucket, one drop of water in the bucket. This is a serious problem. But then, they don't want to, and then they don't want you to take your family members home, and then they have to come in and provide nursing services where you have to, where you can watch them. But this right here, I think this is major. It's global. So this is a long-term plan. So we need to be, if we care about, it's a tremendous blessing to get to be 80 years old, 90 years old, but you need that extra care, but you're not gonna get it. You're not gonna get it. And I've seen this with my own eyes, not in 1 or 2 cases, in 3, 4 cases within my family alone. So that makes you do their job, because they are definitely not gonna do it. And then you find people in there that you can pay a little extra money to look out for your loved one. So we've done it all. So I think this is something that needs to be really uncovered.
And just make sure we don't invest with these places.
Exactly.
I mean, I've experienced it myself. I was in there.
Oh, I'm sorry, Maria. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let me ask, before we go, so you're going to investigate more into that, Fernando?
Right, and then we'll come back to you with.
You come back to us.
Yeah.
Okay, Paula, and then we'll talk about that more, because we were on that call, you're not. Okay, Maria?
Yeah, just
Yeah, the
real
separate
quick, was
issue.
there any response to the 2 individuals that came this morning during public participation, young
We got the
lady, young
information,
man?
right? The 2,
No, you don't give.
I'm
no, we
sorry.
spoke with them and we got their numbers, so we were trying to just talk to CTE or find them some direction. Yeah, we talked to them this morning. I'm gonna get a
Oh.
response to them.
No, do we know what, is there gonna any action taking place?
We don't know yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
It's funny, they only gave those to certain people, or did you go over there?
At some point, when we decide.
How did you get this?
That's time they come to us.
Yeah.
When we decide what we want.
No, this is the third time.
This is the third time they
This is
came.
the third time.
Wasn't here, I know it wasn't. No, this was stuff I brought.
Yeah,
up.
we should.
Yeah, so.
Just what I didn't hear.
Go ahead, Lois.
Question, didn't we ask them to go to CT?
We did.
Yes, we did.
Okay, but they didn't mention that they've
That
done
they
that.
haven't yet.
Mhm,
No, I told them they need a campaign.
mhm. But they actually need to go to a unit.
They need, that's.
Yeah, we told them both times when they
I
came
told them
before.
that again today,
Mhm.
and I asked them again today, and they said, no, they just,
No, that's.
Yeah.
you know what? They gotta have some real good trouble. They gotta make real good trouble. but you gotta be organized.
Yeah.
And I told them this needs to be a campaign. I told them that they email me, they text me
Yeah.
all the time. And I keep telling them, you need to get with larger union organizations. You all have a union, your union is being busted. So.
Can the fund respond to them in a letter explaining what we're saying? That it would be advisable.
It's not a fund issue, it's more of a labor.
No, what I'm saying is, put it in writing, our response.
Oh, give a letter
So that
telling
they
them
can
that.
stop.
Okay, we
Yeah.
can do that. Okay.
Yeah, because.
They should have some type of response.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, exactly. I didn't want to say that.
That was new business, so motion to adjourn.
So, yes.
Motion made by,
The
who
whole
made the
world will
motion?
suck. the
So
whole
moved.
world will suck
Who made the
this.
motion?
I made it, so moved. See, I said yes, but so moved.
Motion second.
Okay, motion was
Yeah.
made by trustee Price Ford, seconded by trustee Ochoa, and call the question.
Trustee Barajas? Trustee Beza?
Stepped away.
Trustee Blackwell?
Oh, no, why you now you gonna make me jump out. Come on, you gonna think about it. I'm ready to go.
Yes. Trustee Nelson?
Yes.
Trustee Ochoa?
Yes.
Trustee Price Ward?
Yes, yes, yes.
Riley?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez? Trustee Vincent?
Yes.
And Trustee Walker?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, trustees.
Thank you.
Tire dealership.
Yes, thank you,